buddy?
Good, man. Good.
I always have to hear some of those lyrics. Just in the right mood, man. It's been a little while since we've done this on a Monday.
Yes, sir.
It's great to do it as a Monday because we've got a super, super special guest. Definitely not old enough to be our dad, but definitely successful and mature enough where he feels like the big brother coming in to check our shit on a Monday and making 100%. Sure we're not messing around the rest of the week.
100%.
But a super good one. A little bit of context. Eli and I were out at a shooting event with some team guys, also known as some Navy SEALs. Navy SEALs call themselves team guys in leisure. But had an opportunity to go out with Brian Shantosh, a good buddy of mine and a guy that I served with, and invited us to come along to a tier 1 shooting facility, super private, and we're going to continue to keep that private. But had a great experience, met some really good high-level guys. Not only were they high level, like in the teams, if they were SEALs or just, Tosh being a Marine and what he's done and his success. There were some other guests that were there just experiencing it, like you and I were. But what was fun about the instructors from Spartan 7, we can talk about that. They're also successful in business. So you and I have been talking about this for a long time, as far as like how we've been trying to correlate what I've done and how that translates to you and I as business partners, and then into business and how we built some success there. And then we go to this thing and just walk into some dudes that are like, immediately make you feel ununique. Like, hey, man, yeah, we've been doing that, and we're better at it than you, and we're further along than you. However, for a guy like me, I felt like I was at home with these guys, and I'm old enough to be in that place in life where the ego's gone away, and when you meet guys that are just better and smarter and further along, however, they also have no ego, and they're super excited to help you in any way that they can. Awesome. And with that being said, that's who we've got today. One of those guys, Tom Shea. He's a retired Navy SEAL. A lot of conflicts that he's gone through as far as in country, Afghanistan and beyond. And he's got some cool stuff he might talk about there. Mm-hmm. He's written some books. 3 Simple Things. That's the most recent one that's out. He also wrote Unbreakable. Don't fucking buy that because he wants you to buy his new one. So if you buy his old one, you're on his shit list. Buy his new one, 3 Simple Things. However, he's done some extraordinary things in business, which is what This channel is for entrepreneurs. It's not just veterans. It's just entrepreneurs in general. So we're going to get to that. But as we always start, we're going to have some fun, getting some context and getting to know Tom Shea and his life and his stories and trials and tribulations. And then we're going to correlate to where that translated into business and how he became successful there. But without further ado, no need to say anymore. He's a badass dude, super good dude, Tom Shea.
I thought this was going to be a whiskey tasting, so I feel like I'm getting taken advantage of.
No, we got whiskey right here, buddy.
I got you, man. I got you.
I got like $1,000 bottle of tequila upstairs. You want to crack that?
That's what I'm here for, guys. I don't know what this microphone stuff is about.
I got you, man. Take it away. I got you.
Eli Jewed him into coming to a podcast instead of
something like
tequila
that.
tasting.
Yeah.
What do you prefer, whiskey or tequila?
No, I was just kidding. Thanks for having me.
I'll get some.
Well, I'm an alcoholic. I was excited to crack one. I've already got my mixer.
And it's already been topped off.
Uppers and downers, man. Have you tried Proper 12?
He was just telling me about it.
Conor McGregor's.
Yeah. I was saying I almost wish it wasn't Connor's.
I don't drink anymore because I don't like the version of myself that I do that.
So now we're not drinking? You had me all fucking jazzed up, Tom.
I'm going to go see Brian, and he wants some whiskey. So
Brian,
that's the dealio. He's going to get some good stuff.
Some good stuff. Yeah. All right, we can at least send you up there some Private 12 in case this good stuff is all hippie and bouldery.
That's true.
If it's made out of like body odor and pubic hair because it's in Boulder. Yeah, hemp, pubic hair, whiskey, and Boulder. We'll send you with some good stuff as a fallback. How about that? Tom, appreciate you being here, man. Definitely want some context. We're going to kind of give you the floor on. You've been on a ton of podcasts. You don't think you're a big deal. We think you're a big deal. You also have a podcast, which is called
Unbreakable Leadership.
There we go. Context on wherever you'd like to start, as far back as you'd like to go, just as far as like, hey, who's Tom? What's he all about? Where does he come from?
Well, everybody asks that question. You ever notice that? I notice it because I get to be on a lot of people's podcasts. Where were you born? What were your family like?
Well, you were born when you were a SEAL.
You were a SEAL, so you must have been abused, bad family life. I had the greatest. I had the quintessential Americana life. Lived in southern Indiana. Yeah, I live in the South now, so I have to add South to something.
You do. Eli's from there.
Southern Indiana. Yeah. Evansville.
Yeah. You know where Brookville is?
North
southeast. It's southeast Indiana. It's on a lake. They dammed up a river there.
Okay.
And,
but not too far.
It's a mile long. You blink, you're through it.
Yeah.
Right up my back. When I was 9 years old, I had a fur trapping line.
Oh, wow.
Like, I couldn't even let my kids do that now.
Jesus. Yeah.
Like, as a dad, I'm like, how did I have that at 9?
Right.
So that year when I was 9, I made $3,000 in fur.
So you already beat us as entrepreneurs.
4 in the morning. And I didn't think I didn't do it for money. It's like all my buddies were out hunting and fishing. And that's the world I grew up in.
I'm glad you're starting this soon, not to cut you off. I'm glad you're starting this soon because you're an extraordinary entrepreneur as well. And not every military guy, not every team guy is fit for entrepreneurship. But when you talk about like this young, what you were doing, I can kind of like remember some of my childhood and different things. So I'm super intrigued by how far back you started. And I haven't heard these stories yet, so super excited.
Yeah, so I loved the outdoors. Loved it. I don't know if I love it now, but that was the only thing that I could do.
Yeah.
Like in-house, me sitting and studying, there's going to be a crisis.
Yep.
So I grew up in that. And Dad and Mom were like, yeah, sure, you can do whatever you want to do, but we're not going to buy you traps. I'm like, oh, gosh. So I had to.
Because they just didn't have it, I'm guessing, right? They just didn't have the money for it?
No, my dad was, I don't think, independently wealthy, but we never hurt for money, but I never freaking saw it.
It was his money.
It's like,
yeah.
It's mine.
He says, I'm
Here's
rich, not
room,
you.
Bro.
Yeah.
Like
whatever you want to do.
Like
hey, Dad, I want to play football. Okay. And, at that time, you didn't have to buy your own pads.
A little different,
now you have
right.
to buy. But, hey, I want a bicycle.
Sure.
Okay.
Mow some lawns, do something.
What did I do?
Work.
Stole it.
Oh, okay.
There's a bike out in the middle of nowhere, and it happened to be there. This is what my story is. I'm like, I want that bike.
Yeah. That's kind of yours. Southern Indiana, nobody around.
I'm just being honest with
Yeah.
you. So I grew up in an environment where anything you wanted, you could go do.
That's super cool.
And so I that has been my upbringing. And through high school, played football, wrestled, track, ended up settling in football, got recruited to play Tennessee, turned down a full ride Tennessee to go to West Point, end up at West Point, and failed out my third year after playing. I started there.
Wow.
So after playing 3 years there and being a cadet, I failed out. Like, we could start there. That was my first real
day $1 right there.
Holy shit, it's over. My life is over. And
what made you drop out?
I failed out.
Failed out.
In English.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
In English.
Yeah.
In writing.
Oh, man.
Miserable.
Yeah.
Rock bottom. Like the bottom.
Yeah.
I came back home. I was, heavily recruited. I loved to play. And I was a leader there. I was a company first sergeant as a junior or a cow.
Yeah,
I was probably an asshole. Well, actually, I am still an asshole.
He always says that, and I'm like, you either aren't, but
I
just think you are, or we're on your good side, and I'm going to stay there.
Come forward as mean. This is my way or the highway. This kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What do you feel made you fail?
Gave up. Quit.
Just stop. Just
mentally,
stop studying.
I was done.
So you were just tapped out.
I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't like. I say it now. I didn't like what I thought it was going to be like this, and it ended up being like this, and that to a young kid, I gave up. Mm-hmm. And it took me probably 35 years to be able to say that out loud. Mm-hmm. And
I like that you say it, though, because over the weekend when we were out shooting, and Sean Tosh had mentioned something before, and I'm obviously paraphrasing. He's got a way better way of saying it, but I have remembered him talking over the weekend and in the past about Eli, you're super smart, and he always loves your comments better than mine, so you probably have better insight.
He acts like he does anyway.
Fucker. He talks about like how we have like these expectations of something before we dive in, whether it's like going to Diesel Day, having these expectations of like what it's going to be before you go, and then when it's not, one, it could be better, or it could just be maybe not as good, or it could just be different than you're expecting. But if you go into it with these expectations,
you're destroyed.
You're destroyed, or you're limiting yourself. And it's interesting that you say that, because a lot of our listeners, especially like on iTunes and Spotify, they're younger, right? They're in their 20s, and I feel like, what could I have done better, in my young 20s or even just in high school, whatever it may be, of just hearing guys ahead of me say, hey, you want to go play football, and just dive into something with a proper work ethic and integrity and understanding like who you need to be, diving into something with your efforts and whatever it may be, but not trying to make it, like not trying to figure out what that experience should be before you dive into it. Right. I wonder like if that would have helped you with where you're at. But I also think, looking back on it for you now, speaking for you, I guess, it's definitely not a failure if you took that, learned from it, applied it, and maybe adjusted as you moved forward. But I'm guessing like in that time, super bummed, right? So you fail out.
Yeah.
Then what?
I don't think bummed is.
No.
What's below? I mean,
what's below?
Bummed sounds like a cherry on an ice cream cake.
Yeah.
Like I went home and I was devastated,
ashamed, embarrassed.
Terrible. And then what happens out of that is, especially coming from the military with a nice haircut, what's the first thing you do? Grow long hair.
Yep.
Grow beard. Get fat.
Unless you're in Stapleton, then you just look like a bag.
Yeah, you look like that.
You look like a bag of ass all the time. Yeah.
So I got out and I just let everything fall apart because I was like, man, I don't even know what to do. I can't even now get into a school. I couldn't get into a junior college.
Wow.
And my parents were like, hey, you got to get back on a horse.
Right.
And so I applied for Indiana University. They're like, no, your GPA now is so low, you might as well blow your head off.
And they think like, well, if West Point can't whoop your ass into shape, what are we going to do with you?
Yeah, and I'm like, gosh, I can't even get into school, Dad. What am I going to do? So how about this junior college? That to me was like,
prison.
Oh my God, really? I was at the top. Now I'm not even on the field anymore.
Nope.
Like I can't even be in the stands now. I'm a butt washer outside. I'm like, so I remember going to 2 classes and I came home. I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Dad's like, well, you got to do something. You can't just sit here and freeload. And I escaped to Canada. I went up to, the only thing I really loved to do was be outside.
Right.
And so I went and I was a canoeing and fishing guide out of Ely, Minnesota into Canada for a whole season.
Wow.
Transformative.
I bet.
I'm like, this is me. Now, how can I monetize this?
Right.
How old are you at this time?
Probably 22 at this point.
Young, yeah.
So I'm 22, and that I chased a girl out here to Colorado, and she was working up there with me. So I got to learn how to ski in Aspen for free.
Cool.
I mean, come on, really?
Yeah.
Let's go back in our lives and go.
What
are the things I'm willing to do for free?
Right. Yeah.
I didn't know how to ski. Now she was a ski instructor up there. Her dad was the general manager of Snowmass, and I got to learn for free how to ski. And I was a snowcat driver, so I still got some compensation for it.
Good for you.
And that obviously didn't work out. Because the relationships in Colorado back in the 90s where you guaranteed nothing was going to work out and you're going to be in the next one 5 days later.
That's it, yeah.
And so I came back again home with my tail between my legs.
Yeah.
And Dad's like, you have 2 choices. Here's $5,000 or whatever cost of school was, or go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't want to go to school. But I don't want your money. But I want to be a Navy SEAL. And he's like, dude, you're not going to be a Navy SEAL.
Now that I'm a dad, shit like that is so like good to hear, but it's also like I have that next layer of humor now because I'm trying to like put myself in your dad's shoes.
Yep.
And like hearing my son say that.
Yep.
And I had failed so many times at that point in time. Now I'd failed at this and couldn't hold this next thing down. I see now as a dad what he saw.
Right.
And we've talked about it since then. He just didn't want me to keep failing.
Right.
He knew I could do it, but boy, another devastated rock bottom. What are you going to do? How many times can you hit rock bottom? And so I'm like, I want to be a SEAL because I wanted to.
Where did that thought come from? Like you're up skiing and like a Navy SEAL commercial hit, or that girl's dad knew a Navy SEAL.
I grew up with them. They're friends of family. A guy I knew that he was the first guy on Iwo Jima.
Yeah. 2
hours before the invasion.
Wow.
He'd been captured on an island called Vela La Vela and got his skinned, his feet skinned by the Japanese.
Jesus Christ.
To prevent him from running.
Damn.
And he ran away with his swim buddy, and they swam 5.5 nautical miles out, which is now why they have the 5.5 nautical mile swim in SEAL training.
Way.
Was that dude?
Yeah,
I didn't know it at
way.
the time.
And that was the guy you knew growing up?
I knew it. So I grew up with this guy that
Did
had
he still
all
have
his
his feet?
Yeah. And he ended up, after that, after he got out of the teams, or UDT at the time, he went and was a All-American running back at LSU.
Oh, shit.
Good for him.
With he has ass skin on his feet now.
Yeah, skin graft, right?
Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of? Remember that movie Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
That black foot. Just like as you're a kid, he pulls his feet out to like scare the shit out of you guys when you're kids.
He probably did that a little bit.
Well, so I grew up with that, and I wanted to do that out of high school, and Dad's like, no, there's no way. It's the worst choice you could possibly make, because the possibility of getting through that doesn't exist. Like nobody would, as a parent, I wouldn't invest in that. Like
Correct.
I would really try to talk you out. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
Will.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that you think you're Studley,
and you may glad he's using me for this example.
And you may be, but listen.
Yeah.
11% make it through.
Right.
And I don't know. If
a higher percent graduate from West Point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Than this. So if that was overwhelming.
And he's like, you don't want to be an enlisted dude, because he had gone through West Point too.
Yeah.
And he was a graduate, and he was an enlisted life. Okay, so I put that down, and then it was always there, like that little thing in the back of my mind. Why don't you go become a Navy SEAL?
Yeah.
And I didn't. At the time, that was before cell phones and internet. Navy SEAL was just my interaction with Pat Tomlinson and some other guys who were actually SEALs, and those crackheads didn't talk about it either. They would talk about things, but not the detail. Well, I didn't know anything about the training.
Right.
And, I think it's stupid to say this, and I always laugh now. I didn't know how to swim. So I went to the Navy recruiting office like a bold dude. Okay, here's the deal. I'd shaved. I want to sign up for SEAL training. And they all looked at me like, well, they're like, why?
Yeah.
And I said, I just want to sign up for SEAL training. Can I just sign up for SEAL training? I kind of wanted to be a Green Beret too. And but Green Beret, you have to be in there for 4 years, and then you have to. I'm like, man, I'm already getting old.
Right. Navy SEAL has an option where like you can do that,
right
and
now,
if it doesn't work out, you
sign the line
bounce.
right now, and you go specifically into the pipeline for SEAL training.
And if you fail out there, you don't have to stay in the Navy.
You still owe your time.
Oh, okay.
The risk, at least, but you don't have to go to the Navy first and then over.
Got it. Okay.
So I signed up without having the ability to pass this. I could swim, but I couldn't pass the test.
Right.
But that's how I started. I mean, that's what the rock bottom probably should be, that conversation.
Yeah.
The beginning of it, my rock bottom came when I didn't have any other alternatives. Like I can ski, but who gives a shit?
Nobody.
I can fish and hunt, but it's not really a lifestyle. I don't own the lodge. I'm just going to be an employee, and I didn't want to do that.
And hunting and stuff like that back then, like now you got Cameron Haynes and all these guys on Instagram and other social medias and the internet popularizing and shedding light on how cool it is to go hunt for your own game. And it's glamorous, but it's also needed because there is. So it's popular now. Well, it's not popular, at least to scale like it is now.
Yeah, direct monetization was how many hunts you can make, or maybe you're just going to be you're going to go and clean a herd out.
Yeah.
I'd done a lot of research into it.
So they say yes. All right, dude, you can go into training. So now you're just training with these recruiters prior to going?
It was a year delay.
Okay.
So sign up. Now I'm not in the military at all. I
You're in
have
that
a year
delayed entry
before
program.
I go into boot camp. But what first time at bottom, everything gets rewritten.
Mm-hmm. It's very simple down there.
I think people try to write the code of how they were before back into the bottom, and having hit it 100 million times. So second time back in the bottom is the second things I was interested in didn't work out. Now, what do you really want to do? I want to be a Navy SEAL. I don't know how to do it, but that's the only thing that was there for me, which I think is the key to being successful. What's always nagging you? Then do it.
Yeah.
Do it till it's done.
And the simplicity behind like a rock bottom or no other option. Like it's not the most fun place to be. It's oddly simplistic. Brutal. It's odd, but it's simplistic in its form, and it's very clear the direction you got to go, and you just got to put one foot in front of the other. And I'm guessing too, like with being in that entry program, you did have some sense of like direction from those recruiters on.
No, they're douches.
No?
No.
Oh, okay.
The Marine Corps may have been better. Or maybe I was an idiot. I didn't pay attention to what they were saying.
They weren't helping you with workouts.
But everything is in paper form.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a really good athlete anyway. So.
And you're like, dude, I failed English. Why the fuck are you handing me a book?
These Navy recruiters are like, I remember taking the entrance test, and they're like, you think you can pass this? I'm like, today. Let's go do it now. Well, you sure you don't want to do it in a week? Because you don't want to fail it. It looks bad. I'm like, I'll do it in jeans. Let's go do it now.
Yeah.
And so I physically, I've always been pretty good.
Yeah.
But I always push people away anyway, so I don't need you to teach me how to do this.
Got it. But it's not like they were trying to give you any direction or anything. Like, what was your approach for that year?
Swim.
Day in and day out, learning how to swim.
Swim.
So you're like, hey, I'm athletic. You felt pretty good physically. You did have a good significant amount of college done at West Point, which is hard as shit. So 3 years there, whether you failed that or not, you had a lot of education behind you. So it was like, hey, if I can just focus on learning how to swim, I'm going to be okay in these two other categories to excel.
So I looked at it as this: everything that I don't really like to do that I know I have to do.
Right.
So, but which was my rock bottom conversation is, what don't I like to do that I know? Here's the deal: the reason why you're at rock bottom is because you didn't do these other things that you knew you had to do,
and you
didn't like them.
Right.
It pissed you off or whatever the reason was. So swimming was one. And being able to deal with cold agony,
in the water,
all the SEALs go. Here's how I would train to make it through Hell Week. Go sit in an ice bath until you want to quit, and then sit for another hour. And my dumb ass is like, okay, well that's what they tell me to do. So okay, learn to swim. So I was in the pool. I wasn't drowning, but the lifeguard took pity on me and. She goes, oh, my God, dude, you're killing me. Did
you date the lifeguard, too?
No, I didn't.
Okay. You're a good-looking dude back in the hey, man.
I'm still good-looking. But so she's like, let me teach you these strokes. What do you need to learn? And I said side strokes. She's okay, what are you trying to be, a SEAL? It's still in Indiana. Like, what do you know about SEALs? My brother's a SEAL, which probably was fortuitous.
Yep.
And so she's like, let me show you what to do. So
That's
then
awesome.
I'm going in to learn the proper thing to do, which I look back and go, from rock bottom, you can base, bro. Yeah. Do all the right things now.
Yep.
All the bad things that cause it to collapse, now you're at the bottom.
Clean slate.
Build the base back up. And so a year of doing everything that I thought was miserable. Like, get really good at being miserable.
I'm glad you say that, too, because, I'm sure you're familiar with, like, Gary Vaynerchuk, and I like that guy. I don't know the guy personally, but I like his energy and certain things, but he's one of the gentlemen that talk about tripling down on your strengths and don't fucking worry about what you're bad at, and, like, hey, you can delegate that or hand it off, but take triple down, and it's like, man, true, and I'm guessing some people take that out of context. I'm sure he wants you to be adequate at what you're not good at, and you still have to understand a P&L and certain things. And even though you're not running it, you need to know what people in your business are doing so you can know whether they're raping you or not, right? Mm-hmm. But it gets talked about so much at scale, and it's like, man, like that's never sat well with me because I didn't know how to swim until boot camp, and I hadn't shot a rifle until boot camp. Mom, super hippie. My mom was so hippie, dude. I'm in 5th grade. This is when you like actually start kind of liking girls and girls kind of like start liking you, right? Indoor recess because of weather. Cool. Teacher puts us in the classroom and we watch The Lion King, right? My mom finds out. My mom talks to the teacher like the next day or the day after that in front of and she's upset because The Lion King had premeditated murder in it because the uncle planned the murder of so embarrassing. I love my mom. She's my number one fan. Couldn't do it without her. However, that day I could have done without. It's a funny story now. I just thought I was so cool back then, and this is like the era of like parting your hair down the middle and chicks are cool and they think you're cool. Like here it is. My mom's in here fucking bitching about The Lion King. That's how hippie my mom is, right? And so it's interesting to hear like you super triple down on things you weren't good at in order to go excel in something like that. And then how long it took you to do it?
Yeah, I'm also a little bent when at success, people reflect differently on the process. Successful people say, now that, don't spend your time trying to do something that's you're not good at. Have John or Bubba go do it.
Yep.
That's only what successful people say.
Because they forget where they came from?
They don't remember
Or
how difficult
or they think it's a better answer.
Yeah. You're like, where the fuck is John and Bubba?
Now I'm on the X. So I'm not trying to cut Gary because I know a lot about him, and he owns everything that he's pursuing for free.
Yes.
He actually owns some back-end shenanigans.
Yep.
So so I'm at the bottom. I'm trying to get off the X. I'm trying to grow a business. I'm trying to become an athlete. I'm trying to be a dad because nobody knows how to freaking be a dad until baby comes out.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure this out. Everything is a weakness. How am I going to – I'm trying to be a dad, and I really don't like to change diapers. So why don't you come over and change the diapers because you're good at it. You're across the street.
Can't do it. No.
I'm not – dude, I got my
Or
own
make
kids.
mom
I'm
do
not
it.
interested in you doing it.
Exactly.
I'm coming over. So
Exactly.
all those weaknesses – I think it's all emotional.
Well,
it's
here's
a weakness. I don't like to do it. Just get good at it.
Exactly.
It's in your wheelhouse now. Get good
I
at
agree.
it.
And something that I think a guy like you can see or guys like us can see is, hey, you super athletic guy, you, right? Physically, super athletic, smart, went to college for a while, probably had a lot of promise to excel as a SEAL if you could overcome this swimming obstacle. So I think that's what people also have to realize is, yep, you want to triple down on your strengths and things like that, but don't let like one obstacle prevent you from overcoming that because like, hey, cool, now that you know how to swim, how prepared were you as a SEAL? And because we're going to get into like your SEAL career and some things like that.
So that's
man.
what what I like about what you guys are trying to do from the rock bottom conversation, with zero, what can you do? Everything. Now it's all back on the table. When you have $10 on the table, you actually have less on the table. $10 in the wrong direction could be a horrific business choice.
Right.
When zero's on the table, you have omnidirectional. So what do we really want to do? Not that, so having hit a rock bottom early in life, I got to re-script it. That re-script was, hey, I want to go to be a SEAL. In my case, there's 100,000 things that you don't know how to do. Learn them. That's that's the process. So I end up being a pretty good swimmer, go to SEAL training, end up starting class 195, made it to Hell Week and got a concussion and got removed from Hell Week.
Oh, shit.
And I'm back at the bottom. So I didn't understand the bottom. It's like the first time. Did you guys do free fall at all? Did you get free fall? First time out, you don't see jack.
Right.
You just look in your altimeter, and
Correct.
you don't see the height or anything. You don't see the birds flying.
And a lot of guys I'll talk about it too. Like when you have like night shooting or night free fall, it's actually more simplistic to operate in those conditions because you do have less that you can see in the first place in your fundamentals.
Yeah, so my first time at the bottom, I didn't witness anything. I didn't experience it. I just tried to get off the bottom.
Right.
Now I flunk out. I didn't flunk out, but I'm removed from that Hell Week. And what I noticed on the bottom is, okay, I can kick off the bottom. I didn't feel like it was as devastating.
Like the bottom of a pool.
Yeah, okay.
Like, hey, that's my springboard.
That sucked. What I did, I said, now I cannot reach out to everybody that didn't support me the last time.
Right.
So what I knew to not do is reach out to my mom and dad. I'm like, I got to isolate myself while at the bottom from the people who are really dissuading. Like, oh, maybe you should go become a preacher.
That's
Dude,
so
I'm trying to be a SEAL.
Right.
You want me to be a preacher? That's what my mom said. You should go be a preacher. I'm like, where in the past 25 years was that on the table? You know what I mean?
Did you hear about my experience in Vail?
Yeah.
All right.
So isolate myself from the people that would let me kick off the bottom. Then I start 196, got to Hell Week again, and dislocated my shoulder.
Oh, God.
Right back to the bottom.
But the bright side is, are you excelling in things that are kind of out of your control happening, or do you suck at it? You're probably excelling, right?
Excelling. So that's
a good news.
Also learning that the reason why you keep hitting bottom is you're trying to be number one all the time. Number 0. So the last guy who graduates. The guy who was number 1 did not graduate. And I'm like,
It's a good lesson.
So now I'm beginning to analyze what keeps pushing me down here. And not a lot of people hit bottom a bunch of times. So then I got to skip a class, 197 to go to 198. Now it's winter time in Coronado.
Oh.
The last one was summer. That was a time to make it through. Now it's cold, and it's cold. It's not just. I mean, it's mountain cold.
It's cold,
but there's water.
Yeah,
it's real cold.
Yeah, you're.
They
cold.
got Sayers School out there, and then I was stationed in Camp Pendleton for a long time, and we did a lot.
That ocean's cold.
San Clemente, and dude, it's terrible.
So now I'm back in Hell Week again. 5 more weeks in my 3rd Hell Week, and I'm doing good. And I'm not trying to be number 1. It's Wednesday afternoon, and I started to get a cough. And in that Hell Week, during that Hell Week, 2 guys had gotten flesh-eating bacteria and got like half their leg removed.
Oof.
So they got pulled out of Hell Week, and the instructors are coming back to us that were still there going, hey, Bubba 1 and Bubba 2, we had to cut half their leg off. You didn't know it was true at the time. You're like, oh, my, this is serious.
Yeah.
So I started to get a cough and got pneumonia, and they pulled me out of Hell Week. So now I'm in the hospital going, oh, my God. Now I started questioning, is this the right choice?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm back down at the bottom questioning, is it the right choice?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I now recommend. Don't ever question it. Never question yourself at the bottom. Like, never make a decision on the bottom about who you are. And because it'll kill you. So now they said a guy named Mike Mayer comes to the hospital and says, we know you're not going to quit. We've established that you're not going to quit, but we don't think you can make it through training. And he goes, the difference between somebody who gets injured and quits is nothing. And I was like, what do you mean? I got injured. No, you're quitting on yourself. You're letting this happen. If you do this in war, all your buddies are going to die. So you got to stop getting injured. I'm like, fuck, I don't know what that meant. In my head at the time, I'm like, look, I'm doing the best I can. And he's like, you're a liability because you get injured all the time. Every time it gets tough, you get injured. And that was devastating to hear somebody that I was admiring say that. But you can get back into Hell Week. Or you can get back into training, but you got to be here Monday. Like, I have pneumonia. They're like, so? You got to be here Monday. We don't have to class up, take the test. Like when you go into the Marine Corps, you have to take a test.
Yep. They had crayons
and
markers, and the hardest one was where we had to sniff
some
the
rubber
markers.
to chew on.
I knew it smelled like blueberry, but then they made me write blueberry.
Oh, shit, that's tough,
Fuck
bro.
you,
That's
man.
tough, man.
How many syllables is that?
That's tough.
It's terrible.
Yeah,
Definitely not as smart as a SEAL.
So they oddly said you can start, but it's Monday, and I was at the back all the time.
Yeah.
So I make it to Hell Week again. Like, all you need to do is make it to Wednesday night. We're going to roll you forward. Woke up in the hospital Wednesday. All 5 with 50% infiltrated with fluid. All 5 of my lungs, my lobes in my lungs. Yeah. Like, you're kicked out of training. Here's your paperwork. See you. And you can come back, but you can't come back for 2 years. And so I'm sitting there at the bottom, and I started noticing everything. It's like, I call it the equivalent of sitting in jail, like a jail house, and looking up and going, oh, look at all these names etched in the walls. And I recognized everybody's names. Like, I now recognize everybody comes from the bottom. Everybody who I look at successful, my rendition of that is they all etched their names in that baseboard at the bottom because they hit it a bunch of times. You know, like the guy that made the 10,000 light bulbs took 10,000 times. How many times did he fail and quit? He etched his name and name there
10,000 times or however many. Right.
Yeah. fail, and they all end up carving their name at the bottom of their life, and from the bottom they grew. So I was like, okay. And I was talking to other people, and I was talking to Pat at the time. He goes, "What are you going to do? You going to quit?" I go, "I can't go back." "Are you going to quit?" "Okay." "Well, they said I can't go back 2 years." "Who the fuck said that? You or them?" I'm like, "Well, the Navy says I can't go back for 2 years."
Right.
He goes, "Have you ever met the Navy?" And I'm like, "Well, that's interesting."
Yeah.
So I submitted, or I had to work at the Naval Hospital because I was a corpsman. I worked in the ER, which I didn't want to do. Like, oh, fuck. Like, I did not want to be in the military. I wanted to be in the
You want to be a SEAL.
Yeah.
So every day that I was at work, I'd sign a request sheet and submit it to the Admiral. I got written up twice for doing it from my chain of command. "You're disobeying a direct order." I'm still requesting it. And 9 months, the guy came out and goes, "You're persistent. I think you're stupid, but you're persistent.
I hope you go there and die so I don't get any more of your requests."
So he came out and he said, and he'd come out several times, you know, "I can't let you go. The needs of the Navy, the needs of the hospital," and all that shenanigans that the leaders tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Which means whatever.
There's politics in the military.
Yeah, whatever.
As
that
well.
I can imagine.
So he came out and said, I mentioned that somebody's so persistent. If you go back, I wish you the best of luck. So I went back and made it.
Here's what he was really saying. Hey, I'm this rank.
Yeah.
And the Navy has this procedure set in place. And if I give the waiver to let you go around that, and something does happen to you, and I did not abide by this guideline, it's back on the Admiral. And everybody wants to. I don't want to say everybody. That's a blanket statement. A lot in police work, military, just like corporate America. Everybody wants to wash their hands of responsibilities.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why there's policies and procedures. And we have books like this on policy and procedure. And it's always, where'd these come from? Somebody did something, and now they wrote a policy
Every
about
time.
it. So if this happens, tell the guy no, because if it happens again, now. So I'm guessing there's some liability on that Admiral. But after you're that persistent, good on him for letting you go.
And you know what's interesting about your story there, man, is from SEAL stories and stuff that I've heard in the past. It all starts like during Hell Week, right? And that's the hard shit, and it's all Hell Week,
I think.
And then, but hearing your story of your struggles and your rock bottoms and all like the hard shit. Not that I'm sure SEAL training was tough as shit, but like it was all prior to that. It almost seems like you getting to Hell Week or to the SEAL training is like you're like, oh, thank God I'm here.
Some SEAls have Hell Week. Tom had hell.
Yeah,
Tom's like, hey, I was in hell.
What I know to be, I think this is true. I know it to be true, but I think it. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase it.
Sure.
I see it. I see it demonstrated every time I do trainings now. People's inefficiencies are internal. And I began to realize all my failures were because of me, not my circumstance. Hell Week, I'd done 5 times, completed 1. When I went back as an instructor, I did 15, and I would stay awake with the students from Sunday to Wednesday.
Wow.
I'm like, dude, old bro can do it.
Respectable, yeah.
Because I wanted to be with people that could do it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be out there going, hey, you're going to go to war with me, and I'm going to go to war with you, and I can still do this
as
shit.
an instructor. Yeah.
It's also motivating when your instructors lead from the front, too.
I can imagine.
Well, that's the grace of the SEAL teams, is if you can't do it well, you're moved to the side.
Yeah. And same in the Marine Corps, at least from my experience in the Marine Corps, even in the infantry community. And that's, I think, something that SEALs have a lot of respect for. I know a lot of SEALs talk about Marine Corps infantry. Marines talk about Marine Corps infantry, and nope, it's not SOCOM. No, it was Marine Corps. But that's the bull riding of, like the military for us. But that community, when you got guys like Sean Tosh, and you have commanders at that level, but that grew from platoon commander on up, like the professionalism and ability and standards that they have just in that infantry community from the Marine Corps, same way. If you are not a proficient or leader, or you are going to be a certain individual when we're going to deploy, you're H&S.
Yep.
Headquarters in service, and it's okay. We're gonna find something that you can be good at, that you can be trusted with, but we can't trust you with lives. we're going to trust you with something else, and that's okay. But same thing, if you can't lead well, you're going to be pushed to the side.
There's not a SEAL that I know that wouldn't go on any ride with the Marine Corps infantry.
Yeah.
Hey, where are they going?
Yeah.
They're going to shake the bush, and we can get some of the.
Yeah.
It's not that they need our help; they're just going to break everything around. So there's going to be enough people to kill for everybody pretty soon.
Yeah. That's cool.
Like everywhere the Marine Corps goes, there's so much opportunity. That's
a great word.
They're going to create opportunity.
Hey, those guys are going to go start some shit.
They're shaking the bush. And hey, can we shake the bush over here to push them?
Yeah.
So we had a bunch of things in Helmand that we partnered with the Marine Corps.
Very cool.
And they're like, sure.
They just want to get it, man.
Do you want any explanation about that? No, just tell us when and where you're moving.
Yeah.
And what the deconfliction lines are, and get out of our space, and we'll get out of your space. And
so there's a lot of mutual respect there.
Well, there is, and it's
always
also
with the Marine Corps.
It's also because of the 2 foreign wars that were going on during our generation. SEALs did a lot of things in support of Marine Corps infantry, and you hear a lot of SEALs talk about it. And I can't speak for other branches, but we do know the pride within the teams, right? We understand that culture and that pride. And the Marine Corps is not as known for Special Operations Command quite yet. Like, we had that, got attached to it through a fast unit. Awesome stuff. But now we have MARSOC. It was getting named that as I was on my way out. Right. MARSOC is Marine Corps Special Operations Command. Awesome, badass dude. Still not as known like the SEALs, correct? Right. However, what is known, and it's no disrespect to any other branch, Marine Corps infantry for the longest time. And when I got in, I didn't realize how much pride was behind it till I was there. A lot of young men were joining the Marine Corps to be an infantryman, not to just be a Marine, to be Marine Corps infantry. So there is a lot of pride and culture behind the Marine Corps infantry, much like that. And then when you take cultures like that, where guys are seeking it that much, and then probably not the best word, but then fortunately, or due to our times, conflict happens, and now you put these type of groups together to go succeed at war, you're only growing that camaraderie and that bond.
I imagine. Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And then after you graduate, you get into the SEALs.
You had a beer or something, right?
Yeah,
you fucking graduate Hell Week, you graduate SEAL school.
No. So I finally graduated class 207, and the skipper comes out on Friday to secure us from Hell Week. The rest of the training's easy.
So Hell Week's like week 9, right?
I say that physically Hell Week is rather easy. It's a beat down.
Right.
But
if you can endure the beat down.
The mental beat down, it's so overwhelming. The internal mental beat down. The instructors are yelling at you, but the Marine Corps, hats yell at you. I don't remember them yelling.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Hey, you're a douche. What did he say?
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
Hey, you're
you're in like kidney failure. Your body cannot even hear it.
Yeah, and you get so cold, your nuts go. Did they really go up inside you? You're like, I think I'm dying.
Like, they still there?
Something's wrong.
Yeah, or
and
like if you're on an
hurts.
assault bike. Shout out to Brian Shantosh for a 24-hour diesel day. I lost my nuts on the assault bike.
Yeah.
I'm crying.
Yeah. And like everything is wrong, so them yelling at you and telling you stories about your girlfriend or wife, just to see if they can get in your head.
So you start figuring out everything.
In my head. You're not even on the surface of what I'm doing.
But you start figuring out, cool, everything we do is going to be wrong. Everything they say is going to be fucking negative. You just got to endure.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that, and then so the skipper's out there on Friday, and having gone through so many of them, and he comes out and says, "What's the difference between you and all the guys that didn't make it?" Which has profoundly affected me, and that now I say is the foundation of success. You guys said you would do it, and you did it. That's the only thing we wanted from you, that you were able to say something and go do it. Now we're going to train you. Because until that point, you're not trainable. Because I don't know if you're going to say something and then it not happen. Now you're able to be somebody who's honorable, where what comes out of your mouth is real.
Right.
And I was like, and I was still crying, going, "Oh, shit. Can I just get the hell out of here?" And then I was listening to that, and I'm like, man, that's pretty interesting. And that's the only thing that makes a man a warrior, is what comes out of your mouth is true.
And the timing of when you heard that. Yeah. Because you could hear that guy right now be some Navy commander, and He's on Facebook, like the Navy commander
It says make your bed.
who says make your
About ready
bed.
to punch him in the balls. Yeah.
Right. Fuck
Yeah.
that bed. But for example, context, take the same guy who spoke to you and you put that message on Facebook and people are going to go, yeah, you know, like, and this is something that Tasha with Diesel Day, he wanted to create something where people would feel certain things and have to work through it. It's like he says, it's mildly interesting to just talk about stuff versus going through it and feeling what the fuck I taught. And for him to say that to you, like literally when you guys are done with that, and then he goes, hey, you earned your word.
Yep.
Now you felt the weight behind some of those words. Super cool.
Yeah, and so that 207 we started out with 111, graduated 11.
Wow.
God.
And Chris was in there.
Yeah, okay.
But he was a
Holy
roll-in
cow.
from another class. So he
Holy
was
cow.
206, rolled into 207.
Yeah.
And we graduated together, but didn't go through Hell Week together.
He's a cool guy, isn't he?
Oh yeah, awesome dude.
Mhm.
And
Super
then
cool
when we
dude.
graduated, he went special branch.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew he was alive on the planet
Yep.
because he had other names and other places that he was going to.
Sure.
And I didn't see him again for 23 years.
Sounds
Yeah.
like me.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And so what then go to Afghanistan. So now many years later, 20 years later, 18 years later, I pick up my second SEAL platoon as a chief.
So you've been a SEAL at this point for 18 years before deployment number 1? Or-
No. Deployment number 7.
Okay.
And so we were supposed to go to the Philippines, non-combat deployment. Got a request for forces from Afghanistan. We need SEALs again because in 2009 it got bad again. And we'd been kicked out after Operation Red Wings, where Marcus Luttrell was the only crackhead that was left.
Crackhead.
And so for other reasons we were kicked out because SEALs are douchewagons. You leave them by themselves, they destroy themselves, and they're not easy to get along with. And it had gotten calm. Now in 2009 it's not calm anymore. Guys were dying and Marines were dying and Army was dying and the loop road was dangerous and all that shenanigans was going on. Now a month before deployment, hey, you got to spin up and get ready to go to Afghanistan. Dude, I was getting my drink on. I thought
I'm going to the
what's
Philippines,
going on
dude?
here? So we got the word, spun up, went to Dugway Proving Grounds, and decided to come back and talk. Hey, all right, here's the deal.
So this is 18 years later, though. So how old are you at this point?
42,
42? 42? Still out with the young guns.
Yeah, I knew that was my last opportunity.
Yeah.
And I knew because I still think I'm a good athlete, but I'm fat now. But I knew that was the last pump where I could hold a gun and stay with the dudes.
One last rodeo.
And not be of detriment.
Right.
Like a lot of guys hang on too long.
Yeah.
They can operate, but dude, then we got to carry you. Like our senior out there was, dude, come on.
But that becomes a liability. Like you see this in the UFC. You see it in football. A lot of guys like, Chuck Liddell getting knocked out. And you're like, man, we all wish you would have retired 2 years ago on top. But then he still has that fight in him. That dog still has a fight in him, but you can't. But this is something that doesn't get talked about a lot is like when SEALs or other guys decide to like, hey, when are you going to pull the plug on that and retire? Or go to a different side and do something within that branch because, hey, man, it's not just getting knocked out in your fight. No one wants to see Chuck Liddell lay on the mat until they wake him up. This is, hey, man, you can get yourself hurt or killed.
Everybody else dies.
Or you can get somebody else hurt
Yeah.
or killed because you're now a liability and somebody's trying to save your ass and eats a grenade.
No, but I was at, I was close to the top of my game. I think I was coming down the backside, but I was still pretty capable, and mentally and tactically, I think I was at the top of my game.
You probably had a lot of poise, being in like your young 40s, like you're strong.
Yeah,
here.
hey, everybody slow down. I was
Yeah.
always slow down. We're not all gonna die.
Yeah.
There's just bullets, and they miss.
Remember,
it's cool.
just
dude.
remember
bullets.
Black Hawk Down, the movie, not the actual engagement, but the movie. And remember that actor that was like the commander on the ground that would never duck and was always walking, but he was always okay, just
The
wrecking
guy getting
show?
out all the Humvees. Yeah.
Probably you in Afghanistan, like, hey, they're missing, okay?
Yeah.
Hold
And
your
I
shit
really
for a
had
minute.
a deep respect for my guys.
Yeah.
And I in the teams, you know, out here called love. You deeply are affectionate, and you love the guys to the point where you know everything about them, and who they are really affects you and what they do. So we go over there to Afghanistan, and I realized that we're not all going to make it through this. There's no way I can tactically figure out all the shenanigans. The first mission, I got 2 Afghani commandos got their legs blown up, and the 2 SEALs that are in my platoon are right behind them, get bone fragments from their bones in their face. We're only there for 3 days. I'm like, okay, this is now, it's either him or I don't have control of this anymore. And then we started linking up with the Marines where you guys are operating. We're operating in Helmand. We got a vantage point of what was going on in Helmand. We're like, we're all going to die. This is out of control. How do you manage this crap?
This conflict, right?
And it hits, it's like every mission, you know, hey, honey, how are you doing? Yeah. I'm going to go fishing, because you couldn't say anything,
Yeah.
or I'm going to go fishing and I'll be back in no more than 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks stormy. And I don't know
But
if I
those are
wanna
hard
be
conversations, man.
here. Yeah, they're rough. And I started writing them down, which
Yeah.
became the book Unbreakable.
Oh.
But I wanted to be able to pass shit on to my kids.
And you obviously had children at the time, too.
Yeah, 3.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
What's that like? Like when I was in the Marine Corps and doing some government work, I'm a young idiot. Girlfriend, that's cute, right? No kids. You know, we had Marine Corps guys that had kids, but I don't think I had enough maturity. And obviously now that I'm a father, I'm just naturally way more curious about fathers during a time of war.
I don't know. So I'd never had combat without a kid.
Really?
And I know that, definitely the Marine Corps, the guys that we worked with, it seemed like the more single you were, the more operationally effective you were.
Mm-hmm.
But if I didn't have something to fight home for or to, I would have just stayed in the conflict and died.
Yeah.
Just fight until you die. Like, I wanted not to die. So my job was to make sure they didn't die, and I need to get the hell home. I don't know what it would have been like to be single, because I don't have the comparison.
Right.
Like, I know a lot of the guys in my platoon that were single, they would have rushed. I'm like, dude, slow down.
when maybe they didn't have to, is what you're
We
saying.
know where they are.
Yeah,
Slow down.
Right,
What, dude?
right.
We're going to go kill them.
In a minute.
Yeah.
Let me eat this sandwich.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Got a B-1 bomber check on. No, I want to go do it.
No, you don't.
He
geez.
shot at me.
Yeah.
It's personal now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of dudes shooting at us. That's cool.
How do you,
Yeah.
We're going to drop a 500-pounder on them, and then we'll go clean it up.
Yeah.
You talk to them then.
But they're so the single guys were so aggressive.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Which can be good, but with good leadership. Because
I felt like
it's better to have to pull a guy back.
I was pulling reins in.
But that's better than having to kick a guy in the ass.
Yeah.
It's better to like have to pull a guy back a bit and direct him, but he's got that ferociousness that you need. But again, that's okay when you've got adequate leadership that can guide that. If those guys are just running amok, right? If you just got a bunch of pit bulls in the backyard, it's just not going to go well. But if you've got some good direction behind it, a lot of good things can happen. And when you were going through this, and then you started having these thoughts of like, hey, we're all not making it home. You're obviously in a leadership role at this point, correct?
Yeah, chief. Yeah.
And you're now coming to realization like I can't guarantee the protection of everybody. How are you processing that, and where does your poise come into play to still be operationally effective every time you guys go out? Because you can't obviously voice
I had
that
to think about
to
this.
the guys.
Not only then, I had to think that through with my lieutenant and the other platoon chief that was there. But now as an adult male looking back and having to be on podcasts and how to write a book and how to teach leaders how to deal with that chaotic situation, is the future does no longer exist. Like, literally, the ring comes off. We're going in, okay? Future doesn't matter, even though I'm fighting my way back to my ring.
You got to handle this right now.
Yep, here's the deal. Pass is over. I don't care what happened yesterday. I don't care what the future is going to look like. We go on this mission. We're only worried about the next 5 minutes in the next mission. Like, that's how I had to process it.
So
guys
the
are like, dude,
ultimate-
we got three more months of this shit. Okay, we're going to go on this mission.
Yep.
Well, I don't want to go on this one. Okay. Neither do I. Like, I don't want to go anymore.
Hey,
either.
asshole, it's called mission, and you're in the military.
I don't want to go
Yeah.
on it. I don't know them. They don't owe me anything. I don't know their dads, and I don't know, and all that shenanigans that goes on with like an unmature mind. Okay, we can choose to go or not. You guys don't have to go. There's always consequences to every choice.
Right.
Go or not go. Let's just go.
Yeah.
That's what we're here to do. Let's just go.
And if you start picking and choosing where you want to go, you're going to end up getting just way more hurt. If you're just trying to dodge and pick and choose, it's not going to go. It's just not the right mentality. And but you're talking especially as a leader, right? Like you're talking the ultimate form of needing to be present and the ultimate form of compartmentalization and having to focus on this piece right here. Not that you.
I'm probably savant where I can compartmentalize too many things. And I probably need counseling on that. My wife thinks I'm a sociopath because I compartmentalize so well.
Yeah.
That, I watch combat footage and I'm like, dude, he missed, and it's like, hey, he got his head blown off. Yeah, but and laughing about things that I shouldn't be laughing about.
Or should you?
Well,
I don't know. I mean, I also think that's the way that some of us
here,
people
bro,
adapt.
so I think I'm doing it right.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And you also don't. This is also beyond just the military, but there's a lot of like dark jokes and certain things that first responders and police laugh at, and to someone else it might look terrible, but psychologically, I think it's part of adapting to your environment and having to handle it. That sometimes we do have some dark jokes or laugh at some things that might not make you laugh, but that's a coping mechanism of how you don't allow it to overly affect you to the point where you're not effective anymore. You can't survive after the fact.
Yeah, and I don't have any issue with it. That's why I like being around guys that have seen war. Yeah, because you could laugh at everything. Everything's just so funny.
Yeah.
Well, I got a divorce.
Oh fuck,
dude. Okay, which one is that for you?
Check the
and
box.
Everything is so up front, and everybody judges everybody, and which I hadn't met you and hadn't met Brian or hadn't seen Chris. Immediately, once you notice the guy's been in war, you're like, okay, I don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah,
I can say something, and it's probably going to sound weird, and they're going to be like, so who cares?
Well, you guys all share this.
I lost a bunch of money, and they're like,
yeah.
So
yeah.
Who cares?
You guys all share this perspective that's super unique and this common thread amongst all you guys. Like you said, like, hey, a divorce, bankruptcy, whatever. I mean, you guys have seen the worst of the worst and the best of the best. So it's like you have that perspective. You know it's extreme here. You know it's extreme here. Everything else, hey, you're not fucking dead.
Yeah. And that's what I know. I learned that. I think after. I don't think you should. I think there's a point in time, not that this is part of the conversation, but I think there's a point in time that great leaders should be pulled out. Okay, enough. I know you're at the top, but you got to get pulled out here because you're going to lose sight of everything else very quickly. Like, cool, retiring after 30, 32 years. When they kick guys out, 35 now, for sure. They're done.
I bet.
They're done.
So you think 35 is just too long instead of 32?
I think operationally they should have amount of hours in actual combat and have that be
logged.
You're toast.
Yeah.
We love you. And pay them more, whatever. But at the top of your game is when you're the worst, you're the most liable. You're the biggest liability.
At some point, you're saying
to
like
your future, not to the
your
platoon.
future. Like at some point, you're at this point of no return where that's just going to be that, and you won't be able to have a future.
Yeah. Because all you then know is process death, because that's all war is about, processing death.
Right.
Especially Marine mind. We get to go knock and talk. I don't know if you guys ever did that.
Those are cute.
Yeah, that's what I don't want to get to know them. I don't want to build a pool.
Teams did a lot of different diverse things. You guys were used for a lot of
we
different
have
stuff.
to go, let the Green Beret talked us into that. And like, come on, guys.
So talk about that a little bit. So explain that a little bit. Knock and talk. What's that?
Jehovah's Witnesses,
So it's you're trained as a SEAL to go in and get bad guy and come out.
Okay.
And you never say a word. Like you never even say anything over your radio set to your buddies.
Okay.
Maybe maybe 5 words are spoken during a mission.
Wow. Okay.
Insert,
Yeah.
Hey, execute blue.
That's it.
Or
Extract.
or you color code extract is, hey, this is me passing pink.
Yeah.
Or because it happens all the fucking time. It's usually not somebody from your team, but it's like hot mic. How many times have you had to say that?
Yeah, dude, I'm tired of hearing you chewing your tobacco.
So a hot mic is when
Yeah.
hot mic is when somebody's inadvertently hitting their mic.
Right.
And it sounds like this.
Yeah.
You're like, dude.
So these super high speed guys, right?
Yeah.
Insert,
Yeah.
extract. Somewhere in the middle, there's a
Yeah.
hot mic.
Yeah.
And then somebody
There's
has to
no-
go in and cancel out and go hot mic. Like, just like I have to figure out when you're not gonna hit it when
Yeah.
you're chewing. And the second I think you're no longer accidentally hitting your mic, I got hot mic.
Yep.
But then, of course, you never think it's you. When you hear hot mic come through, you're like, what fucking idiot's doing that?
Yeah.
You idiot.
Yeah.
Like, fucking check your gear, asshole. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always
But
some
it's
things like that.
not all platoons are that way. I've been in immature platoons, so they talk about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then really mature platoons don't talk.
Yeah. They just go.
There's 1,000 different ways to communicate.
Right.
You just
Right.
look and see the guy's posture. Like, I get it. And you nod.
Yep.
And you throw cans of Copenhagen back and forth. And that's
Yeah.
your love language. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
And you're
Right,
also
right.
keeping the net clear just in case somebody
Something real
actually
happens.
needs
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Because if I, like, for example, like if me talking on my mic on this podcast would not let you talk on yours, right now you can talk over me.
Right.
That's not how radios work.
Yeah.
If I'm clicking that button and I'm talking, you're not able to
else
do it.
can't. Right.
You're sitting there doing this, waiting for the second I come off of mine to get something that actually has to come through. And that's something that's super big etiquette-wise in the police world.
So the knock and talk portion was that.
So you're trained to be on point, lethal, go do your job,
Yeah.
not have interactions, not try to discover. It's not like business development.
Sure. PR
It's
and
it's execute.
Right.
Contractual execution.
Sure.
There's no deviation. Bang.
Yeah.
And like even the Marine Corps just wants that.
Yeah.
Give us the mission and get out of the way. There's no interpretation. Go kill bad guys.
Yep.
Oh, finally you get that mission.
Yeah.
But you never get them in the Marine Corps either. They're always nebulous.
Yeah.
There's deconfliction lines and phase lines, and then don't do this, and people with pink scarves. How about can we go kill everybody?
Yeah.
You finally get that mission.
Yeah.
So we had that mission set.
Yeah.
And then we sometimes didn't have it. The times where it's nebulous, even though that's not like what we were originally talking about, kill you. So the Green Berets knock and talk, it's business development, getting source
You're
development.
winning
Yeah.
the people over.
With hearts and
So
minds.
it's literally like PR. Like you're going on these PR campaigns, talking
Yeah,
to the
you want to
community.
gather intel because I guess for Cliff Notes, right? Correct me if you've got something else to say about it, but locals tend to know where bad guys are and what's going on because they live there and they've been living there for 100 years with their families, right? They know who's doing what and they're just neutral, staying out of it.
Right.
Guys like you are coming through and knocking and talking and try to gain trust and build value to these locals. Why America's here and that we're the good
I'm
guys.
so against
And-
what you're saying. Like,
Hey, what do you know?
I tell you what, man, I believe that.
Is that the
Because
knock and talk you're
that's
talking
what
about?
it sounds like from above. Hey, we got to win hearts and minds.
And that's what I'm
Right,
trying
right.
to paint. When
Yeah.
you say
Yeah.
knock and talk, for
But
the
that's the
public
idea.
listening,
Yeah.
ideologically,
Yeah.
I'm trying to paint the picture of like what it was.
Yeah, and
intended
that's how
for.
it's painted to you. It's
Yeah.
you're like, man, I believe in that. I
Yep.
believe
Yep.
in that.
Yep.
We could get a source network, so we don't have to work so hard.
But
Get
in
our
reality,
intel.
And then you think World War II. It was so simple.
yeah.
Phase lines into here. When you get to here, call. Everybody dies in between. Don't kill your buddies.
because that's a war. Here's where leadership and
like everybody. If a SEAL hears this, they're gonna be like, Tom, please don't ever represent us again. I went to war to go to war.
Yes.
Like I didn't want to. I went to language school. And I said I'm not gonna learn language.
Yeah.
Right.
And as a SEAL, you're supposed to go to SEER school. I got kicked out twice.
Yeah.
I said, if you punch me again, I'm gonna knock you out.
Yeah.
Punch me, knock me out.
were you in Coronado?
I know that was the
Or
one
was
up
it East
in
Coast? Was it East Coast
no, there.
or up Northwest?
No, up northwest. yeah,
Northwest.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
And
great experience.
I was like, dude, I can do all this shit.
Yeah,
But if you keep hitting me, my primordial response and also I knew to be true is no SEAL is going to survive captivity. You're going to find out who I am, and I'm dead.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get that out of my head, so I got kicked out twice. So, gosh, what were we talking about that led to that?
Knock and talks, and just the perceived mission of what a knock and talk is supposed to be.
It's and SEALs thrive when there is clarity.
Okay.
Give me the mission. I'll work it out. And actually, they're not extremely violent. You don't have to tell one of the new guys, don't shoot kids. Don't shoot a woman. If it's violent and they're going to kill you, I got
you
your
make
back.
a decision. Yeah.
And, don't shoot, just don't randomly shoot stuff.
Right.
Just because you're angry. And it happens.
But
So they're so good at their job, they can discern everything very quickly.
You don't have to muddy the water.
Sure.
And then now I'm doing a combat engagement one night. That's very clear. Go get high value target, if any opposition, and blow up everything that is in the way.
Yeah.
And it's so comfortable go doing that. You come back out. And then the next one, we're going to do a knock and talk on the village a mile away from where you just killed everybody.
Oh, Jesus.
I cannot wait to knock on that door.
Yeah.
And you go in there and you're jacked up, still thinking
Everybody's
how
a bad
it was.
guy.
And you're knocking on the door and you're bringing out that people.
Yeah.
And I'm. It's not a racist prejudice thing. They all look the same at night under green lights.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
I think I just killed his dad yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, right.
And they're thinking, I think that dude just killed
that's a
my
guy
dad
that just killed my dad yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's so non-responsive.
Yep.
And you don't know how to play, and it's the most dangerous condition in the world.
Yeah.
But that's what was perpetuated as we got winning hearts and minds. So,
Do you feel
somebody
that
just
came-
killed your buddy,
Right.
and then somebody comes and says, "Hey, we're going to build a pool. We're sorry. Here's $200.
It doesn't make it okay for them.
Yeah.
Wait for you to leave, bro."
Yeah.
And if anything, the more you try to fix something, the more you look wrong for what you did in the first place, right? Like, do you feel part of that came from the difference in like a World War II circumstance at scale versus like, oh, hey, this isn't a war with Iraq or Afghanistan. Oh, hey, this is a war on terror.
Willie boy, man, this is now the whole different conversation. I believe in full-on effort. The military's designed for.
And I think I'm loading questions. I kind of feel
declared warfare.
These are loaded questions that I have for
politicians have said we can't solve it. Unleash the devil.
Yeah.
And give him an endpoint, and he'll stop.
Yep.
Unleash the devil, because we couldn't solve it. There's not been a limited warfare engagement that's been successful since World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And was World War II successful? Yes. It killed a lot of people, but it had an end point and it had a massive growth after that.
Correct.
And it cost a little bit. Now the wars are so costly.
Mm-hmm.
They're emotionally costly. Now we're getting how long can the human being be at war?
Yeah.
A 4-year war. Okay. Now it's 15 years.
10, 15.
Now it's a generation.
And it's just
my kid could go back to Afghanistan.
Correct.
Totally Toledo.
And when you talk
crazy.
about like limited efforts, right? It's like, hey, you guys know Alexander the Great was fighting here, right?
Yeah.
But that's how long the word Afghan literally means fighter. Like you guys know since pyramids, right? Like the reason why the Afghanistan people did not help with pyramids is because they were probably at war with somebody instead, right? Like
Nuts.
But it is a beautiful country. On a side note,
Is it really?
outside of the desert,
those military crest lines, man. Like
the mountains are better than the Colorado Rockies.
Really? Holy shit.
If you get up in the mountains, you're like, dude, this would be.
hippies.
I've never heard
I was
hippies,
hiking
don't
them
lose your
down
mind.
and going, this is a double black, bro.
Really? Yeah. Are there trees and stuff like
Some places, but they
mostly
cut them all
rocky.
down.
Yeah.
They cut down all the trees because
Okay.
they needed wood.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So they don't have the stuff that we have
Okay.
over here.
Okay.
And there
Yeah,
was
and
no
that's
animals. Like they
Yeah.
killed all the animals and ate them. I'm being serious. They kill them all and eat them.
Wow.
Yeah, and like people think like when they hear Iraq, Afghanistan, they're thinking that they're very similar.
Yeah.
Iraq,
yeah, it's
a lot
apples and
more
dogs.
sophisticated per se, for lack of a better term, compared to like how Afghanistan approaches their life. Mm-hmm.
But so then, and all that's going on inside of the conversation called "We're all going to die all the time,"
Yeah.
and like that story I told you guys,
Phenomenal story.
where it was transformative.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the shit knocked out of me there, and getting the platoon, I thought we were all going to die. Transformed, like my soul into a different human being in 45 minutes.
Did everybody make it out of that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
And that was your last conflict?
No.
That
was at the 3-month mark. We had 3 more months, but then after that, we were so on point for 2 months that we couldn't do wrong. Like, we were really successful. Yeah. Then we hit bottom where, you know, you can go to all the other podcasts I've been on and listen to that. Yep. But I could tell that story again if you wanted to. But everything went south. And I realized the only thing that mattered was simplicity.
Yeah.
Fuck everything else. Don't complicate anything ever again the rest of your life.
If you wouldn't mind getting into that story, man, I'd love for our listeners to be able to hear that, if you don't mind.
Oh, I don't mind.
Sorry, Tosh, we're taking up your whiskey time, bro.
He didn't expect me till later. He's probably going to be 3 sheets by the time I get there anyway. So northern Afghanistan, it's not that I can't tell you. I can't remember.
Doesn't matter.
Northern Afghanistan, deep in the mountains, much like Vail Pass.
How's that?
So reference-wise, same type of altitude as Vail Pass.
Now's that? No. Yeah.
The name of the place? No, I can't.
No.
Even if you
Can't
said
remember.
it, I couldn't remember. I think I blacked it out. I have it in the notebook because I took notes after every mission, the infill route, what happened at different points.
He named it Never Coming Back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said hell. It was literally hell. So insert high altitude, helo high altitude insert, got rocketed. We're 4 miles from the target when we got inserted. Took us 6.5 hours to traverse 4 miles through the mountains while under fire, having helos above us firing at the enemy, and then all the shenanigans that happened. And we finally get to the target area, which was a bowl, I don't know, like a ski bowl.
Right.
Everybody referencing that. And beautiful. Yeah. it's like it's mountains, and you're hiking through the rugged terrain, and you look down at an irrigated bowl. There's a pond down there, and it's green, and it's beautiful. And it still occurred to me that way. And so we took over this bowl region and a couple buildings that were in it, and a bunch of fighting throughout the day. And we were told close to the end of the day, it's over, we're going to extract you, which is a key learning point in life and in business. Is
don't say that.
As a leader, don't ever let them think that it's over. Hey, good job. We're going to pull you out. Don't let them drop their guard. So, and we dropped our guard early. And we're now taking some of the crap out of the building and beginning to position it to blow. It's called blow in place, and putting demo over top of it. And I was chilled out, had my body armor off and back against the wall, and we got hammered. In a millisecond. A millisecond before, it was cool.
Everything is fine.
And then, boom, 12 RPGs hit our position. Bullets hit right where I was seated up against the wall. I dove out of the way of one that kind of hit the side of a window when I was jumping through a window. It blew me to the back of the room, probably 16 feet in the air. And meanwhile, my body armor's not with me.
So you were sitting outside? You guys get attacked. You go to jump through into a building.
And then a rocket hit right where I was when I was passing through the window.
Holy shit.
I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
For some reason, I can't hear explosions when they're close.
Yeah.
And I don't have ringing in my ears. At least I don't think I do.
Yeah.
And so I got not blown. I say it blown up, but nothing hit me. Just a concussion wave, and I hit the wall in the back of the room. And I'm laying there on the ground, which was the transformative moment where I was like done. Like, I'm done. I'm dead. And what was transformative is I started telling myself I was dying. Like, it's in my brain. I was like, use the F word a lot.
Your body was accepting it.
Yeah, my brain was telling me, this is it. This is over. This is probably what it feels like to die. Cool, And I started having a conversation with myself, and my body was really acknowledging that I was dead. And I wasn't knocked out. At least I didn't think I was, because I was still breathing. And
you could
I
move,
just
you
couldn't
could
do
move,
anything. I was in such mental, physical shock. I was laying there, not moving. Bullets are hitting.
And you were experienced at this point. It's not like you were.
No,
this
I
is
wasn't
your
a new guy.
Yeah.
And this wasn't the first rodeo.
Right.
I thought that was a bad mission. It wasn't the worst mission I'd ever been on, but it was the biggest, hit rock bottom.
Okay.
Where I was transformed.
You think being off guard is something that
Yeah.
might have set the tone for that?
Yeah. When I think when you're on point, it occurs differently.
Yeah.
And so it was such a shocker.
I feel like the analogy for that is like like you work on your core so much, right? And if I'm boxing or I'm in MMA and I see a body shot coming, and I'm able to flex and blow my air out, right?
Yeah,
like,
you're ready
boom,
for it.
It hurts, but I'm good.
Yeah.
But I don't see it coming, and I'm breathing in. You fucking knock the wind out of me.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
Crippling.
Yeah.
And I felt like at that moment, maybe like for sake of an analogy, I guess, is kind of got the wind knocked out of you right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like real wind. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different. For some reason, combat has its own reality that when you can be in a fight and get knocked down. Combat, it feels different. Like when something happens in combat, it's not like I can recover. You feel like, oh my God, I can't recover now.
Right,
I'm
right.
done. So I went through that, hearing myself just start destroying me as okay, you're done. A lot of F words were populated in that chapter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very familiar on this podcast.
Yeah.
by the way.
So literally, that's all I could hear myself say is, fuck, I'm dead. Fuck, I'm dead. That was it. That was all I could hear myself say. And then I started having dreams about my family and kids.
Wow.
And I'm watching bullets hit off the wall.
Wow.
And I couldn't respond. And I literally thought maybe I have a fractured back.
Yeah.
But I couldn't feel anything. I'm looking at my hand. I can move my fingers, but I'm like, it's so surreal. And thoughts go by, and then literally my wife in my head, and it was the last night we were together, laying naked to each other. And I was stressed out. She goes, "Stop fearing death. It makes you weak. You need to fight your way back to us." And in that moment, she grabs my face, and I see her face right in front of me. And it's like a hallucination. If you've been in combat, you may have had them.
Yeah.
They're like, maybe there's a sixth sense that
Yeah.
unless you're in dire need, it doesn't come in. And so I could feel her and smell her, and she's like, "Don't fear dying. It makes you weak. Fight your way back to us." And I sat up. I'm like, "Oh my God!"
Wow.
So I got my gun. I had a Scar 17 that had a long barrel on it, and I knew I could shoot because I'm a pretty good shot, at least long distance. And so then I'm playing this game, trying to fight my way, get myself back into the system, get my body armor on. What I didn't know at the time, when I put my radio and headset on, I'd rolled the channel. So I'm trying to talk
shit.
to everybody.
Yep. No one's there. Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
like everybody's dead.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, dude, everybody's dead. And me saying that everybody's dead, I actually went into the back of the room, leaned up against the wall and go, "Man, if everybody's dead, what am I going to do?"
Yeah.
So that was rough as a leader going, and then you're like, how am I going to explain this? And I'm like, I need to get out of that. That's way too complicated. I'm gonna shoot that guy up on the hilltop.
So you knew someone was in there. You could see the bullets hitting.
Well, that's the only way you could see.
No
the
one was in
compounds
there.
are 18 foot tall compounds. That the only thing that could see into that was a hilltop about 600 yards away.
Yep.
And I knew in my brain, he's got to see me from there, or somebody does. So now now it's just a game for me. I went from complicated, I'm going to die, to every other day of training. All right, solve this problem. Here's a problem on the table. Solve it. I'm like, I got really calm. Like, I can solve this problem. I've done it a million times. And I actually like to shoot people in the face.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I don't have a conflict with it. So I found out where he was on the hill, and I found where he was right when I shot at him. He shot at me and knocked my helmet off. The scariest thing is when I had to do it again, because I had to make sure that I could move. I had to go try to shoot him in that same place where I knew he could see me. So I got back out there in the open, shot him again. Those 3 shots missed. entirely, but my first shot had hit him right through the top of the head and exited
Wow.
out of his back, and there was blood all over the rocks. And then I got panicky again. I'm like, oh damn! I get buck fever like after I shoot, never before. Like it's happened every time and it may sound weird in a civilian podcast. Everybody I shot, I get shaky after. Like, are you okay? I'm like, no, dude. Just like hunting deer, but let my adrenaline calm down.
Yep.
And then a rocket hits above me, and I had a sniper position up there, and one of my snipers falls in front, and one sniper falls off the wall, out to where the Taliban were. At least I thought where they were.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God,
It's worse to worse,
dude.
Yeah.
It's raining.
Yeah.
So I look out through the door, and the guy's laying on the ground, and in my brain he's dead because he's not moving.
Yeah.
And in my brain I'm seeing bullets hit him, and I'm looking around for everybody else trying to make comms. Don't hear anything, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to let him sit out there. When I took that move out there, I knew that I would take bullets. And I went out and grabbed him, pulled him back in. I'm like,
Nothing. All good. Yeah.
maybe you get shot and it doesn't feel like you. It's like I've
never
never
know.
been shot.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's a 2-minute thing.
Yeah.
It's so painful.
You're
you don't
so
feel it.
convinced that you were going to get shot that when you come back in, you're like, okay, I did, but I don't feel it.
It's like, yeah, I was like, okay.
Check
And then
my
I'm
asshole.
trying to get the dude awake, and he'd knocked
Knocked
out
him
of
out.
him, or been knocked out, and he opens his eyes. The F word. We're fucked. They're everywhere. I'm like, where are they? Where's Mike? What happened? Mike got blown up out there. Where's your gun? It got blown up. Dude, where's your pistol? I don't know. And he was like shredded.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
explosion.
Wow.
And he's like, we're dead. We're dead, dude. They're everywhere. How many are there?
Yeah.
Like now I'm back to me. How many are there? Where are they? They're everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah. It's like, where?
what do you mean?
Yeah.
They're inside the compound. I'm like, what do you mean? They're everywhere with a lot of F words.
Yeah.
And we're dead.
Yeah.
We're dead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. So I had another M4 in the room, and I gave him the M4. And we're dead. Oh my God! All this panic. He got a weapon in his hand. He goes,
Oh, really? Yeah.
okay,
Fuck yeah.
let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm like,
dude.
And that I was like, wow, it was so weird to experience. Complicated. I can't protect myself. I don't know what to do, even in the business setting.
Yeah.
Hey,
Here's a tool. Oh. Yeah.
he's like, okay,
I'm so glad you're saying
Chief,
that.
what's going on? I'm
Yeah.
like, we're gonna fight till we're dead.
Yeah.
Even that, he's like, okay, I got it.
Got a
I
mission.
can process
Yeah,
that.
got a mission.
It was
Yep.
so complicated in his head because, and that's what his body was going.
Yeah.
Through everything.
Yeah.
Through everything.
Yep.
How long, personal question, no agenda here. Did you have a time like after you were out, how like that you still slept with a gun?
What does still mean?
It's just-
I don't carry a gun, but I have guns.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's I appreciate you like you bringing up like, hey, I gave him this rifle and cool, like, hey, we're back in the fight, and like Eli will laugh at me sometimes, whatever. I'm like, dude, I still sleep with a fucking gun. Maybe not the best practice. Maybe like, hey, as you transition, like there are times, hey, like that's just I'll
I
sleep.
can't carry one because I go to the conflict. If I carry one, I'll disregard my family and then
Right.
go towards it. If I don't have a gun, me and my family are gone, and
You're
I
okay.
don't care. Let them all kill each
You
other.
give
If I
yourself
have a
another
gun, I
option,
feel
yeah.
I don't
You feel
know what it
obligated.
is.
And I don't mean necessarily
Yeah.
like carrying a gun out in public. I mean like for me, like at home, sleeping with a gun.
Yeah, they're with arm's length everywhere at home.
Yeah. Yep.
Or like right here. Right.
Yep.
Oh no, you
A 1911 feels so
no, they're
So
not in
good
the
right
bed.
Yeah.
They're with
close,
the
though.
arm's length.
All right,
And
mine's a little bit close. I got short arms.
My
What can I
family
say?
had so I put weapons on the table openly, so that my family doesn't think about them anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm just telling you, I know that that's the right way to teach your family.
Mm-hmm.
Don't lock them up. I have guns that are locked up.
Yeah.
But don't put a bullet there until they understand it.
Right.
And as long as they're playing, Cowboys and Indians, they can't play with real guns.
Right.
But there's guns everywhere.
Yeah.
What I noticed is they don't even know that they're there.
Yeah.
Dad's pistol, dad's rifle, a shotgun up on the wall. They don't care about them anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's not this whole like you can't
Taboo.
have it. It's not
Yeah.
taboo. It's not.
Yeah.
They know where they are. It's like my boys and I shoot all the time.
Yeah.
And they just you take guns out to do that.
Yep.
You don't
Right.
show your
Yeah.
friends it. You don't do any of that shenanigans, and everybody that makes it taboo has problems.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So
Yeah.
you have this conflict in Afghanistan,
Yeah.
right? How soon till you get home, and then how soon from that last conflict till you chose to retire? What? How far on that window are we?
So 2009 was the deployment. We got back October-ish 2009.
Right.
And I immediately took over a sniper course for 2 years, which I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do that, and I'm going to come back. And I put on senior chief right after that deployment, and I was literally a golden child.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I know
you
what you mean.
got a big award, you got a bronze with a V, got a silver, got 2 other Vs during that. I think I got 10 medals during that campaign.
Wow. Well, and I got to hear the end of that story.
Yeah,
So-
sorry, Eli. It's not a V card. He wasn't. He wasn't
No,
having
I
any
got it.
relations with
I
virgins.
got it. So you give your buddy his weapon back. He's back in
So
the
then
fight.
we fight. We figure out that the rest of our bubbas, so to speak, are across the compound in another little building. We make it over to them and find out that they're saying the same stuff.
Everywhere.
Dude, this is over, man.
Yeah.
We're pinned down.
How many of you guys are there?
8.
8. Okay.
Did you get your radio back to appropriate at that time, or is it good?
Yeah, I'll. That's the funny part. I try to make funny stories after the terror ones.
No.
The guy walked over to me and he goes, "Chief, dude,
Here you go, man.
we've been trying to call you for about 10 minutes.
Oh, shit.
We saw you over there.
Yeah.
We're trying to get your attention."
Yeah.
And I was, dumbass.
I was a little preoccupied. Thank you.
And like good comms guys.
Yeah.
Like what you would do if you were comms in your platoon. You never let your chief have a good radio.
Right.
Yeah. Never.
funny. Why would you do
We'd
that?
have good comms. The moment I hit it, Chief, get off the radio. Okay.
That's funny. That's funny.
Terrible. I had 2 radios that never worked. Ever.
Ironically.
Yeah. And they told me, like, we're never going to give you a radio. We don't need you to talk.
Well, like apparently you do well with that one anyway.
Like,
so.
we don't need you to talk.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
when you try to orchestrate things, you kill combat. Just don't say anything. Which my wife says that too.
Yeah.
The greatest way to have a good sex life for a man is keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm learning.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we after a little bit, we rally the guys, and I find out that they're panicking too, like I had been, and just giving them simple shit to do. Simple, like 3-year-old at night. Simple, just pull your pants down, pee in the toilet,
Yeah.
face that direction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Brush your teeth.
And
Go to bed.
it was so simple that it was transformative. They're trying to orchestrate everything, thinking how it's going to play out, and they can't do simple stuff anymore. You 2 guys get grenades, throw them over the wall. You 2 guys get the 40 millimeter tubes, shoot 40 millimeter over the wall. Mike Tatham comes in, has survived a hand-to-hand fight with a bunch of Taliban. Calm him down again. Hey, Mike, you and I are going to shoot all the mortars. And SEALs don't do mortars.
Yeah. No.
Like I had learned mortars. So we took mortars with us everywhere, and we shot the hell out of them all the time.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay. I was holding the tube, and he and my EOD warrant officer were breaking the mortars out, pulling out the cheese which would shoot them too far, and then making them fireable. And I was just going ping, 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 ping.
Yeah.
And they were coming in like crazy. like another mortar would come in, boom, boom. I was going 100, 200, 300, 100, 200, 300.
And are you able to see?
No, couldn't see nothing.
It's all blind. You're just shooting.
I only
shit
saw
to shoot
one
shit.
Taliban the whole fight.
No shit.
I never saw one other than one guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And so now, hey, this is all effective. I got the guys moving, and last mortar goes out. Grenade goes over the wall.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have anything left. We don't have any ammo left. Like, we're out.
Are incoming rounds slowing down? Are you guys making any impact whatsoever?
Nothing whatsoever.
But you're staying on
and
task.
we killed some guys.
Yeah, making an impact, but you're out.
Right.
Yeah,
right,
we're
yeah.
out of rounds.
Yeah.
We had some, bullets, but a couple bullets are like,
Yeah, you're out.
they're what happens at the table. You put a bullet on the table,
Yeah, yeah.
And we're like, it's like having a shot glass without any wine. You're like, okay,
Great.
that's a cool shot glass,
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean anything anymore. And meanwhile, a B-1 bomber checks on. Thank God. Takes them 22 to 48 minutes to get on site, at least then. So they get on site, and I'm like, whoa, that must have been a long. Because they called in. My buddies called in the aircraft because I didn't.
When that first started,
I was a douche.
When that first started kicking off,
anything.
yeah.
And so the bird gets on site, and he's like, all I have left is a 2,000-pound bomb. Gives me an assessment of the situation. I said, you're cleared hot to drop on us.
On you guys.
So drop it on us, and he's like, I'm going to drop it 100 yards away, which the math behind it is like,
don't work.
why don't you just drop it on us? So he dropped it 100 yards away, didn't kill any of us, killed 38 Taliban.
Holy cow.
And that saved our bacon.
Wow.
So just, and then we dug ourselves out. And,
But as far as you knew, that was a death sentence right there.
yeah,
as far as
we
you
were
knew.
all dead again.
Yeah, again.
And the guys were like, because we felt like we were dying the whole time. I'm like,
might as well.
There's
Get it
no
over
way,
with.
no way we can fight this. You can't fight. I mean, everybody says you can fight to your death. Okay, it's going to go hand to hand. That's what it's going to go
But they still
to.
have bullets, so no, it's not
Yeah,
going to
it
go
doesn't
hand
go
to
that
hand.
way.
Right,
So they
right.
come in and go,
Done. Yeah.
And they fucking hang your bodies from the trees.
yeah. I'm
and-
like, just let's do it right here.
and if you can be
And it
on
wasn't
site,
this conversation. They heard the conversation with the bird.
Mm-hmm.
I just looked down. They're like,
Everyone's on board.
I didn't say, hey,
Right.
do you have any
right.
notes you want me to pass?
Right. Yeah.
we're getting blown
It's so
up.
calm. See, the thing is, there's all calmness.
Yeah.
Talk. Decisions being made, and you like, anybody have anything to say?
Mm-hmm.
So guys are just sitting there.
Wow.
Drop it. I heard 15 seconds, and then you hear the rocket that's launching it, or it's got a rocket assist behind it. And all I heard was the rocket sound. And then it just a massive dirt wave, like lifted us up. I remember being lifted up and then buried and then digging myself back out. And then, like, that's legit.
2,000 pounds.
Should have died. And so we dig ourselves out, recover all of our shenanigans and all our gear, and then it hits. And then I was the first time, I'm like, here's the deal. I'm just going to keep life simple for the rest of my life. We're still in combat. Hey, okay.
Okay.
So I took my platoon over to where the other platoon was, or the 8 guys, and they had a whole other engagement.
Oh, really?
We're separated by about 200 yards. They didn't know what was going on.
On another planet.
They had their own
On
fight
another
going on
planet,
over there.
like another planet.
Got
They
your own
had
shit going
small shit going on.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we
yeah.
had what I thought was big shit.
Right.
And they're like, dude, what happened? What was that bomb? And they were like, man, you guys look like shit. And I'm like, Joe was the other guy's name. I'm like, hey, we're going to go lay down. Hey, let's talk about it.
No.
I'm going to go lay down.
No. Yeah.
So we all 8 of us went and laid down. Probably 45 minutes.
Man, I can imagine that dump afterwards when you thought you're dead 10 times. And probably should have been dead 10 times too. And you guys are all still breathing.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, and you can't, like the other guys that weren't there, nobody wanted to talk about it.
No.
And after you ask another team guy a question and then they don't respond, you don't ask it again. Like, hey, Joe's like, hey, tell me about it. Like, no, if we're still out here, I'm not gonna, I need a break from this. And he's like, hey, they're making us stay another day.
Hey, shut the fuck up.
I'm like, when I woke up, I'm like, hey, when are we getting extracted? They're making us stay another day. I was like if the commander had been there, I would have just shot him in the face.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be this stupid. Because you don't know they don't get it. They don't understand, and you can't communicate it. And you're like, dude, they resupplied us.
Oh boy. Yeah. Oh boy.
Like, I ain't got it left. So I was like, hey, Mike, what do you need from me right now? I need you to don't ask me another question for an hour. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Caleb, what do you need? And he was different. He needed something else.
Yeah.
So I kept life simple from that point on. Literally the rest of that whole deployment, simple. Don't overcomplicate anything.
And it's not because, let's just give some context to that too. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're gaffing shit off and you're just over it and you're taxed. It's because there was a certain level of success and successful leadership, not just leading yourself, but leading other SEALs on keeping it basic. It led you guys to, hey, we're still alive. Let's keep this thing basic for a reason.
Yeah, all the complicated shenanigans that I was doing.
Getting stuck in the weeds is what
and
gets people
in my brain trying to figure out stuff. I'm like, all that didn't matter. It was
Mm-hmm.
just burning off excess energy. And I just made everything basic in my mind first. And if somebody's complicated, I'm like, no, it would just make it more basic.
Great segue into business, right? Because Eli and I, we're young, we're idiots. There's a lot of distraction in the entrepreneur world, in the business world. There are self-help books. You could there's probably a different book for every human that's on this planet, right? And courses and this and that and get rich quick and distractions within companies. Once you started to apply all this to business, I'm guessing it started with a book. Am I correct? How do you still maintain, as we're kind of getting into the business side of things, like how do you still keep it there? And everything you've gone through, it's so hard to translate to the civilian sector.
That's what I struggle with most. What's translatable? And human issues are translatable. Humans show up in combat. Humans show up in business. Real estate transactions don't show up in combat. Stock market transactions don't show up in combat. So I was like, I'm going to be so far behind if I try to compete in the technical space or the tactical space. But people are the leverage point. What do I know about people?
Do you find that people self-sabotage or
constant
or literally try to complicate things when they know fucking better? Do you ever see a lot of that, or subconsciously they don't realize how much they're complicating it, but they are like literally
there's two answers. I'm trying to think of what would be the best answer. People are afraid to be powerful, and they self-sabotage. It sounds, when I hear somebody saying, you self-sabotage, that's like, okay, but I don't know what to do about it. You're
or
right.
How I'm doing it.
I know not to cheat on my wife, and I do it.
Right.
That's not helpful.
Right.
For some reason, it's helpful to say you don't want to be the best husband in the world. You're afraid to have a woman that's sexy and powerful, so you destroy it. That kind of changes the brain. Like, wow, dude, I could be more powerful than this. You're trying to make $200,000. Try to make $2 billion. It gets uncomplicated very quickly. Like literally.
Yeah.
How do I do this, and this? Try to make $2 billion. Is that a problem anymore? Is your lighting, you turning that light bulb on, is that a problem? It's not a problem anymore.
Yep.
Make it bigger. Make the problem so big that you have to get it basic.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We talked about
that makes sense
a lot with like mission, right? And like muddying the water. And hey, when we were allowed to do what we were there to do, and we had our mission, and it was clear, we were successful. Something that you just shed some light on. We're like, hey, you don't want to be the best husband there is. Like, to me, that sounds like someone's lacking a mission. They don't have an identity as a husband or as a person, and they definitely don't have a mission. How important, because that is something that I think we can translate to the civilian sector is understanding how to like identify or give yourself a mission. How important is having a mission in business and entrepreneurship, you think? Is that something that correlates, and do you think that's super important? Or even as a father, just having a mission, right?
Gosh. It's such a basic answer. If you don't have a measurable mission, measurable. And so if you don't have a measurable mission, you're fucked.
It's a good way to put it.
You're so screwed. Like if you go to a private equity company and you're nothing's measurable in the company, they're not interested. Go get venture capital money. It's all measurable. Business, wealth, like the pursuit of wealth, it all has to be measurable.
If you can't track it and provide data.
If you can't move it, touch it, taste it, feel it,
Yep.
measure the outcome of it, how many are these, what date, how I measure a mission, and I have been putting all these, already successful people through this training, is it has to address these 3 W's. What is it? Where is it going to happen? And when? If you can't do that, you're stuffed. It's taken most people that are already successful. I'm like, what's your physical mission? What's the measurable goal or mission? I'm going to work out 3 times a week. You're stuffed. You're so stuffed right now in the health space.
Yep.
Or weight loss is another stuff somebody into the health space that they'll never succeed.
Yep.
Or I want to bench 400 pounds by Friday at the gym.
Yeah.
That's so measurable, it's scary.
Yep. It is, because you know damn well if you're not doing that.
You either do or you don't.
Yeah.
I'm short or long.
It's clear, it's black and white.
Yep.
I got a statement for you, because cool, right? What, where, when?
Yeah.
Hey, Friday, I'm going to go bench 405 pounds or attempt to at the gym, right? Whether it happens, doesn't happen. So now that we've got something, because I love the trackables that you're talking about. I love intangibles too, with like, I think there's some value to intangibles and being a good person and things that you can't touch, feel, or measure. But I do think that if you haven't mastered this here, you don't really understand intangibles of being a good dude and how you can scale that as well. But I'm curious, and you've probably heard this, probably gonna laugh when I say this, but I feel they're super important. We've helped a lot of people in the business world with this, and it's whether something works or doesn't work, right? After action reports. How do you feel about those?
It's before the next action report. That's what I call it. What happened? You have to. And they have to be brutal.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said the word brutal.
They have to be brutal.
I was going to say accountability.
And you have to come out with what you did or didn't do and what you think you could have done better. And then you have to be able to take somebody else hammering you on an after.
Do you think that's something a lot of leaders struggle with?
Yeah, nobody wants it.
Yeah. And
well, this is what we should have done better. As a leaders come up and say, and I'm saying it facetiously and with derogatory, but it's not that they're not doing the right thing. The after action report isn't the leader's point of view. Nobody cares what the leader's point of view is in the after action. It's everybody else's.
It's everybody else's.
And they get the say in the after. The decision then to move forward with all this new data can be the leader.
Right.
Because the leader's going to gather. So if I'm your personal trainer, you try to bench 405 on Friday at the gym.
Yep.
You did. Great. Hey, what did we do? What did we catch?
Right.
Because, hey, that was a significant gain. Last time you only benched 315.
Yeah.
So what did you do between when we talked about it and Friday that allowed that to be successful? Because after action reports are not just punishment. They're not just for your failures.
Right.
We talk a lot about failure in the entrepreneur world now, and it's super popular to and you've got some real grit behind your failures. That's some real shit. nowadays with failure, especially in the entrepreneur world, like people brag and they feel excited about a failure. I don't like failure, but I accept it and I definitely understand how to use it. However, we talk about that in this world, in this entrepreneur world, from my lens, from what I've seen so much, we forget to talk about when things work. Why? Hey, I failed. Why? Correct. Something worked. High five and we're drinking a beer. Hey, cool. Listen.
Why?
Yeah, nobody writes it down after victory.
Fucking why?
Everybody screws it
Yeah.
up.
But if I'm your personal trainer, hey, Eli, great job. Listen, why did that happen? And then you're gonna tell me about your diet. Right. I'm the one that created your diet. You're gonna tell me what you were doing with it, and you're gonna tell me about your training. And I got more sleep, or I took a bunch of fucking cocaine 15 minutes before. I don't know, or you didn't reach 405, and like, man, okay, last time we did 385. Now we're trying to get 40. Like, man, it's not a huge jump. All good. Why not? Tell me about your last 2 weeks.
Right.
So I need your lens, but then as a leader,
Stop doing that crappy diet.
Yeah.
But like, so from what Tom is saying, like, hey, it can't be. I can't come chew your ass about why you didn't hit 405 if you're the one trying. If I'm your trainer, you got to tell me about your last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And what was working and after action. Hey, what was working, what was not working, ultimately what led us to failure. As you give me your puzzle pieces, it's my job as a leader to sort all that out and figure out how we're going to move forward from here, whether it was successful or not. But as a leader, I cannot come in and go, okay, Eli, here's your after action report.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
I got you.
But this is where brutal honesty with yourself or with your peers amongst that team is huge, and something that we started that I learned in Squad Leaders course when I was going through. That's an infantry course, kind of like Sergeant's course, but for the infantry.
There's 200 years of experience put out in the military, and nobody pays any attention to it.
It's crazy.
Think about that.
Peer evaluations was something that we got introduced to me through Squad Leaders course. And peer evaluations was like, hey, here's the deal. We're not, hey, yep, Marines, we cuss. We talk a lot of shit. Hey, during peer evaluations, you're not cussing. We're not this, we're not that. We got to be professional. We got to be direct. I'm not here to powder coat it. But understanding that we're talking about someone, we got to like try to keep it as productive as possible. So a peer evaluation is like, cool, and we're talking about Tom. Cool, so the squad, cool. So it was your job to lead this. So it was literally all squad leaders that were at Squad Leaders course, hence Squad Leaders course. Whether you're a sergeant or not, if you're in that billet, you're going to that course. If that was your couple of days or your week to lead the squad through a couple of missions, when you're done and before they hand it over to the next guy who's now going to lead the squad in that school, everybody's going to have a peer evaluation to where like, hey, cool, Tom had us for the last 72 hours. The squad's going to give you critique on how you did and how you think you come off and how you come off might not be real. Might not be what's real. Might not be the same.
Yeah.
But they weren't, oh, hey, great job, Grimes. But like, you could have said this. Nope. It doesn't come off like that. Hey, you got assist 2 hours late. That definitely affects how successful we're going to be in the mission because you drugged your ass all night because you decided to sleep instead of writing this fucking op order. Yeah. Nah, fuck. Okay. But peer evaluations were huge because it was a equal playing field of guys actually saying, cool, you're going to lead me for the next couple of days in this school, and we're going to tell you how you do or not do. And what was great was you're not around your subordinates. When I was going through Squad Leaders course, my squad was not there. Other squad leaders from different units come to this. And as leaders, we are going to grow. Much like how we all were together over the weekend shooting. Bunch of leaders, bunch of team guys. Tosh is there. Hey, we're there. But our real estate clients weren't there. Right. The people that you lead right now and mentor through your business weren't there. We were all there to grow. But then you're going to go back a better person. And I loved that about how you had the ability in those schools to go there and get critiqued and not have this ego or insecurity because you're getting critiqued in front of your squad. And no one had to be defensive or worry about anything, but you did have to fucking listen. And the instructors that ran Squad Leaders course, if you're being a little bitch and people are giving you critiques and you want to be a little fucking poopy pants, you're going to get it worse. But they're doing that because, hey, dude, if you don't fucking understand that you don't communicate these things well, someone dies. Shut up and fucking take it because everyone's intention here is to help you get better, not to talk shit. And it was a great environment for that. Super good.
Yeah, the SEALs have not adopted that yet.
It's great, man.
Yeah, it should.
It's super great.
There's like no leadership training in the teams.
Your team.
Yeah, really.
And leadership doesn't show up until you're at the chief level. Mm-hmm. Everybody just has jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Do your job.
My job, like when I was like lead sniper, the chief doesn't know jack at the level that I know it. So he's like, hey, what do you think we should do? All right, sounds good.
Yep.
The chief's just organized. And the lieutenants never lead. They're administrative. They never have enough experience, ever. So all they can do is keep all the fat into one sock, so to speak. By the time they have experience, they're at the lieutenant commander level or the major level. Then they're never in the field again.
You're detached.
Damn.
It's a weird phenomenon that nobody in the regular military is a little different because it seems like Marine Corps is run by the officers. It seems like. I don't know. I wasn't there. In the teams, the team sergeant runs the team.
Correct.
Or the team chief runs the team. The officers don't run. They don't know the tactics. So the chief comes in. The biggest attrition in the SEAL teams, other than basic SEAL training, is run through chiefs like shit through a tin horn. Either you can do it or you're out. Because it happens so quickly.
And is that because of lack of leadership training, like you mentioned? Like they just come in and don't.
I don't know.
Or just demand for people that want to be in those spots.
But the teams are already. Their after action report is, Chief, don't fucking do that again. Officer, don't do that again. Hey, Willie, next time we do that breaching thing, make sure you give me a little second.
Yep.
Or, hey, you didn't put it in your right hip like it was supposed to. Don't do that again.
Right.
And so they're like, oh, man, you're right. So everything's feedback driven because everybody's at a
and
higher
how well is it
professional
received
level.
at that level?
Beautifully.
It is received.
Well, and here's the thing,
There's
too.
some officers that come into it that are butthurt by it.
Yeah, because they have the stigma of I'm an officer, I'm supposed to be better than everybody on the team. And hey, guess what? No, you're not supposed to be that. You're putting that on yourself. But something that we have to like not discredit here to like teams when we talk about like, hey, there's lack of maybe some of that structural leadership. Guys also had to try so hard and be so proficient just to get there in the first place. And then when you just eat, sleep, shit together for however long, because you are on a team together, everybody is a solid dude. Like you're gonna start becoming cohesive, and everybody kind of just gets it. You don't necessarily have this high demand for the head of the snake when everybody's just legit dudes of what they're doing, and then you operate. You kind of get over. Like you saw it when we all went shooting. Nobody was trying to overly say, hey, Dan's in charge and that's his thing, right? Yeah. But Dan wasn't trying to prove that it was his, and nobody was trying to one up him. It's like, hey man, all good. Like, how do we make this thing successful? When you get cohesive units that are around each other, it starts to become like that. Marine Corps wise, like I can only speak from, like where I was at or like within the infantry community. Definitely like, hey, is it ran by officers? Yep, because you've got young lieutenants that come in and they're platoon commanders and all that good stuff. However, there's a special relationship between like your sergeants that are squad leaders or like a staff sergeant that's a platoon sergeant who has a ton of experience, and then in my generation had probably had one or two tours already as he's getting a second lieutenant. So officer ran for sure, right, with their command and leadership. However, that special bond that grows between officer and enlisted in the infantry community from day one, when that young lieutenant shows up and has a staff NCO that will be there for him, that they can talk to, and it doesn't have to be in front of the platoon. It's an interesting, and like, there's always gonna be pride with enlisted, like we're the blue collar, Not true. Fucking officers are getting the shit too, and they're good dudes, but there is a unique bond between squad leaders, platoon sergeants, and lieutenants, and then that bond kind of carries up through the ranks as well. And then obviously you got shitheads at every rank. But it's a special bond, but definitely officer Rand, and that's where your mission things come from and your augments. But cool relationship that I was able, at least from my experience, was able to witness between squad leaders, platoon sergeants, and lieutenants and captains.
One thing that I really like that I think is worth mentioning, that I think civilians could grasp onto more, is you use the word mission like regular fuckheads use the word goals. And to me, goals are, hey, if you miss a goal,
I now converted that to goals.
If you miss a goal, you miss a goal. For mission, it's like that sounds like there's dire consequences if you fail a mission, you know.
And one of the questions you asked, both of you asked earlier, is what is translatable to the business community?
Yeah.
I could sketch it.
Really?
So I look at it this way: in priority,
Mm-hmm.
and it's esoteric. The first one's an esoteric question. If you don't know who you are, it's also purpose.
Mm.
If you don't know who you are, answerable. Like, what's your vision?
Mm-hmm.
In the business community, it's called vision. I don't call it that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's simple. Runners run. Runner's got to know he's a runner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Runners run. So their goal has to be running. So I look at it this way. First step is know who you are. Answer this question. I am fill in the blank. Mm-hmm. In the business community. If you can't answer that, you're stuffed.
A lot of people can't answer that.
Yeah. So that's why they come to me. And
So
it takes a freaking weekend.
So start there.
Start there. There's 5 areas: physical life, intellectual life, wealth life, relational life, spiritual life. They all have specific answers already built, or they're already ingrained into everybody. But you got to be able to answer them. Mm-hmm. And it always comes out this simple. If I am a runner, I have to run. My measurable life is running. So my goal has to be running. The goal then has to be what, where, and when, but it has to be bigger than you can accomplish right now at this time that you pick the goal. So if your goal is consistency, you'll doom yourself so that the goal becomes harder and harder and harder. So if you can already bench 200 pounds and your next goal this quarter is 200 pounds, you'll get an injury so that 200 pounds is impossible.
Right.
So the goal has to feel, oh my God, there's so much to do to get there.
Yep.
Even in the business world.
Yeah.
Like if you guys are just trying to go 10% more,
we'll get a trophy.
You'll
so
burn your business so that 10%, oh my gosh, we were doing so good last year. Why can't we get 10% better?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's too easy.
Yeah.
So now we fired everybody.
Yeah.
And we got divorced.
Yeah.
And now 10% over what last year was, oh my God, it's Everest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In the business community, that's why I see this shit's too easy.
Yeah.
Too easy. So that it makes business very difficult.
People don't take enough action or make.
You ever
enough
see that it's
changes.
also so easy, like you're just going to hit it and we all pat each other on the back for mediocrity? Is that possible?
Yeah, I think people
Or is that a different conversation?
In light of this, I think it's a little different. I think people play too small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't have to play small.
Yeah.
It's much easier to play bigger.
Yeah.
Like the condition that a human being exists in is it wants to grow.
Mm.
Like a baby is growing.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah, it's growing.
Yep.
Kids want to leave the house,
Yeah.
but we don't let them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Kids want to see who's best, but we didn't provide that to them anymore. Now everybody's equal.
Mm-hmm.
So they're stuffed into this sock called mediocrity.
Right.
Who cares about rewards?
Yeah.
The older you get, like I don't even want my trophies anymore. They don't mean, they meant something then, like that blue ribbon, that was cool. Now at 52, I'm like, what did I actually get from that? I should have worked harder. I could have worked harder. Maybe that should have been the thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
I feel like a phase that I'm in personally is hence like one of the reasons why I did that diesel day. If you guys aren't sure what that's a 24-hour continuous physical enjoyment / endurance with Brian Sean Tosh. Phenomenal, right? Sometimes my wife will talk to me. We'll be talking about the Marine Corps or some government work or police work, and it sounds badass. And people do romanticize some of it, and it's badass to them. And I used to not like that. Now I just go, look, you don't know how to think about it, but what I am getting from it is like, hey, you're excited to talk to me about it, and you think that some things that I did was cool and honorable. Mm-hmm. I can't take that from someone and go, hey, it's not romantic. Don't romanticize this. Hey, it's going to be whatever it is for them. The bottom line is it's coming from a good place because people are just excited to talk to you. Don't take that from them. Just let it be whatever it is for them. Now, I'm not going to romanticize it and make it more than it needs to be, but I can let you enjoy it, right? But one thing I was realizing too was like, hey, man, in business is a great driver for me. Being a father is. The diesel day was a great growth period. Meeting you gentlemen and being a part of you guys is going to be a great step for me in the right direction. Because, and I'm curious to know where you're at as well. I got to a place these last couple of weeks of, hey, all of these things that I've done before or used to be real cool. Hey, what am I doing right now that's still real cool that I'm proud of? Mm-hmm. Hey, do I still got it? Not just can I go run a marathon? Like, hey, man, as my son continues to grow, am I just going to be a bunch of old stories? At the age of 35, am I already just these old stories of what I used to be? Or could I be doing some things physically, emotionally, mentally, like a diesel day? And then could I use diesel day as a platform to just get myself into a different level of human, like some of you guys from Spartan 7? Hey, could I still be attacking life super hard, still being this quote-unquote badass that people thought I was back in the day? Like, am I still that? Do I, you know what I mean? And like, I start seeing like, hey, man, I don't care about awards that I've gotten this and that. I care more about if I'm still that dude on the inside, or am I a has-been now? I used to be. Is there anything you can relate to on that?
Yeah, so most of people that I hang with that inspire me ask that same question. And to maybe an answer and a half. You always have to have a next horizon. It doesn't have to compare to any other horizon that you've been on. Like, when I was a 450 bench as a sophomore in college, that was then. It may not come out of me again.
Right.
Do I even want to try that again? Like, I'm not interested in that. I don't want to be a better 22-year-old when I'm 52. Like, what's next for me? And that tends to let everybody be in that conversation.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the next you? What's your next thing?
That you're proud of. With integrity, you say, hey, I'm proud of that.
Right? And I keep looking in those 5 areas. So what's your next physical thing? Like, there always got to be a next thing.
Yeah. What are those 5 areas again?
Physical, intellectual, wealth, relationship, and spiritual. So what's your next spiritual thing that scares the living dog snot out of you? Like, the goal at my age, I think, I say this to everybody now, it's got to scare you. Be scared.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Like, what relational goal?
Yeah.
That's a whole,
Boy,
that's a 5-hour conversation.
Yeah, right.
I'll tell you what, my relationship one, like, I'm starting to creep on one. My lady and I had an eye-opening night last night with some great productive conversation.
Was it dark?
Parts of it. Okay. Yeah.
He's like, good.
You like the word. See, you read me very well. I use words with weight like you do. Yeah. Words have weight for me, right? Some people that blog, that have a great vernacular, they throw fucking words around to sound smart. Yeah. They're way smarter than me with words. But I try to think of words like with weight. So you heard when I said productive, and you're like, was it dark? Yeah, it wasn't a walk in the park, but it was productive. But there was some weight and there was some things that we had to be accountable for as far as like, hey, outside of being like awesome parents and cool, you're running your career and I'm running my career and that's cute. Where are we at as a relationship? Take the kids out of it, take the careers and the supporting one another out of it. What's your favorite color? I don't know. Interesting. Interesting. Right? And it's like, hey, it's scary, and you got to like make that time and productive needed. Yeah. So I can definitely.
So as a SEAL doing consulting, leadership shenanigans, building leader, all that curriculum, the word that you can't say very well.
Curriculum.
What I find myself discussing most with the most wealthy, successful people or best athletes is in the 11th hour conversation called, like what we were discussing earlier. Hey, I really love all the work that we've been doing, but can we have this discussion about relationship? Because we haven't got to that point in training. Like, we're going to get to it. Physical first, get your health going first, get your wealth going second. And oh man, I can move the needle. I can do this. Wow, I didn't think that was possible. Then we have this relationship conversation. Good. So here's all I'm going to ask you to do before we dive deep into it. 3 simple things a day for your relationship for 21 days. And I'm still waiting for somebody to be able to do it in 21 days.
Say it again.
2,000 people have tried this.
It was 3 simple
things, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Nobody's been able to do it, honestly, do it.
Yeah.
with your spouse, if you're a woman listening, or if you're,
Whatever
same
you
sex
are.
or whatever the hell you are,
Yep.
with the person that you love and are most committed and intimate with, try to do these 3 simple things for 21 days straight. The first one is listen to what they're committed to for 10 minutes.
God damn, I'm out already. I'm already.
Listen first for 10 minutes, and you can't
Yeah.
listen to drama. You got to
Yeah.
cut them off. What are they committed to in their life or that day for 10 minutes? Up to 10 minutes.
Per day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man.
Next one.
Can I choose to do a diesel day again?
Speak commitment only to your spouse for 10 minutes. So listen, speak, then have 10 minutes of intimacy. It can be full on, or it could be virtual. It could be, hey, acknowledgement is intimacy, where they get intimacy from you. So 2,000 people have attempted Everest.
I could definitely be intimate for 10
that's
minutes. I
simple.
can bang that out.
That's 4 seconds.
Yeah, fuck. I feel like, hey, if
2
I
minutes,
get
I think
these
it's
first
one.
2
Yeah.
right. See, I'm already
Take some
I'm
breaks.
already thinking too far ahead.
Yeah.
The key to relationship are those 3 simple things.
Talk about number 2 again. Speak commitment.
Committedly, not
Okay.
like, hey, I don't want to go to work today. Don't add drama to your. It's what I just say. Tell them what you're going to do that day. I'm going to make, I have to go to school. No, on point, committed conversation. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go run Chautauqua Park.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to make 4 phone calls to see if I can get some more business. And I'm trying to learn Spanish. Those 3 top pyramids, intellectual, wealth, and physical, they're important to the individual, because that's what I'm doing today. I'm living my life.
Right.
Nobody can communicate that.
And you're being deliberate with what you're talking about, and you're letting the person you love most, what you're setting out to go do, and then when you can't come back and say that you did those things, like, there's a layer of accountability with that too.
Right.
But
Hey,
they
how'd
know-
those calls go?
I get to know.
You gonna lie and say they went great, or you gonna have to come back and go, hey, you know what? I got so busy with this other bullshit, I didn't make these calls. Better get
Yeah.
on them tomorrow. But like, there's this layer of commitment from that other person that you're engaging with, that if you are committed, or if your integrity and your word does matter, you're gonna go make sure you get that done. Or, man, I didn't get those calls because I got busy with this. Oh, well, then maybe you're not done for the day. Maybe you should make those calls.
It becomes the most coachable conversation on the planet. So how'd that go, Bob? Oh, was I supposed to start?
Ah, you little fearful man.
No, maybe not. Maybe I got that wrong. I take responsibility as the trainer that I can't communicate for dog shit. I get it. Okay, so Monday, 21 days straight, you have to spend 30 minutes intimately with your spouse. Communicate, listen, speak, and have intimacy. 30 minutes a day.
Simple.
They're like
Simple directions.
Why do you think they're so afraid of it?
I've been married for 22 years, dude.
Yeah,
I don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to coax them into this. To make it through training, you have to do it for 21 days. Nobody's been able to do it for 21 days straight. First attempt. Usually 3 months for the top.
Really?
The more money you have, the longer you've been married, the harder it is to
Really?
do. So I'm like, okay. So the impact of it is this, and then I'm sure there could be other questions. I think it's the most important part of life right now. If you want to make a lot of money, you have to have that thing at home, or longevity is not possible. You can make $1 million, but you can't do it again and again and again. You can't grow as a human being without that thing at home, and nobody else is talking about that.
Yeah.
Get the next hot chick. Then you get a year out of that. Then you get a year out of the next one.
Well, divorce
Yeah.
or pointing your finger and blaming someone else, or just it's so acceptable, which I'm not saying that it shouldn't be acceptable. Like, hey, if bottom line, you're just not supposed to be with somebody, yada, 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 cool, I don't want to get stuck in the weeds. if there's integrity behind that and you're just not supposed to, cool. But I also feel like it's so acceptable that it's now like an scapegoat where people have no idea how hard they can actually try and commit to bettering themselves and bettering a situation with the spouse before they actually cut bait.
That's why I made it this simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until we get this baseline, should we go on a date? No. I'm to try to do 21 days.
Well, there's distraction with date, right? You go to a movie,
Well, no, I
you go
mean,
to dinner, there's
so
music.
what
like-
happened to well, I already know my wife. Okay. What's her favorite color?
That thing.
It's not important. Does she know your favorite color? Not that I wouldn't have asked that, but
Yeah. Yeah.
hey, so let me ask you this about and you're married, aren't you?
Yeah.
So what's your wife's health goal, physical goal?
Well, it's a good question. I know visually who she shows me. Oh yeah, look at this girl.
No, what's your wife's
outside of that,
physical,
right.
her personal
Right.
goal?
Right.
And it's twofold. It could be you don't know. Cool. It could also be she hasn't spoken to it.
Because you
But
haven't
here's the
asked.
deal. Here's
Yeah.
what's so cool about how I'm like seeing this unfold is that right there could be taken home, and you could actually spark that in her by asking her a question, and then she starts speaking on it, or just laying out this map of like, hey, I
Right.
think this is cool. Learn this from Tom. Let's do this for 21 days, and like now that she knows the parameters, she actually can give herself the physical goal and then voice it to you.
Yep.
Versus like, hey, you don't know it. Maybe she doesn't even know
Right.
because sometimes we just don't have that direction that's
Yeah.
needed.
And not everybody had education in having a purpose-driven, goal-driven life,
Yeah.
and they've got along rather well.
Yeah.
And maybe society provides that positively or negatively. So, does your wife know what your physical goal is? Does she know you're doing 450 bench?
Right.
Fuck yeah, she knows Tom.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, what do you mean your wife doesn't know what you do? Oh, she does her thing and I do my thing.
Yeah.
Cute.
Interesting. So, when was the last time? So you've been married for 21 years? Yeah. When was the last time you had sex?
Month ago.
Oh, I don't think it's necessary to talk about. Hey, dude, you're paying $80,000. If it's no value to you,
Yeah.
I don't really
It's
care.
non-refundable.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what does intimacy look like for you guys?
Right.
Oh, we have a good sex life. When was the last time you did it?
And what's good? Yeah.
When do you do it? When the kids are bed, or when we're drunk, or whatever.
But
Like,
we
interesting.
all know.
So
that
is it
sex
every
can
day?
be the most detached thing that
Yeah, that's
you
true.
do as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
even if you're like, we had it last night. Okay, hey, well, like it could be detached, like
or
just
you
so,
treat her like meat. It's not really that,
yeah.
not that. But when was the last time you had intimacy?
Right.
That's a great question.
And they go, last Monday. So you had sex last Monday, or you had intimacy? What's the difference? I don't know. What is the difference? Well, that's when we had sex. When was the last time you were intimate? When's the last time your wife would say you were intimate? And they're like, ooh.
A lot longer than that.
I'm like, okay. So I said, okay, why don't we just start this? Do it.
Yeah.
They can't do it.
Yeah.
They're not structured to do that. So they struggle emotionally with that. And the wife's like, why are we doing this? What's the deal? And I said, okay, don't ask. Just say, I want to hear about your day.
Yeah. Yeah. And mean it, and then shut
Well,
up.
she didn't say anything. Okay. You tell her about your day. Touch her. Touch her arm. Kiss her. You think you know her. Then she opens up. They always come back with what? As the wife opens up, what do they say?
What?
What do they say? What do you think they would say?
As the wife opens up,
Yeah, now the
you're
wife.
getting more shit.
Damn, I didn't know my wife liked
Yep.
that.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm like, you thought you knew her. And one guy's like, she doesn't want to live here anymore. She wants to stay married, but she doesn't like where we live.
Yep.
Then move.
Yep.
Here's why we're committed to this. Move.
man.
Move. And I got some real estate guys, but they can help you with that. You know?
Yeah.
But they're like, I can't move. Then get divorced because she's done.
She's done. Yeah.
And just change what you're committed to. Or let me rephrase that. Understand like what you're committed to. Like for example, when you were talking about battle and this guy gets shot at and he's taking it personally. And hey, they're shooting at us. They're bad guys. We're committed to killing them. I'm going there right now. You're like, hey, easy, devil. We're committed to killing them. You are committed with how you want to approach it, and that's not the commitment. You're taking an approach that's very narrow-minded. That is not the commitment. Our commitment is mission success and killing bad guys. The way we can go about that, several different ways. And I'm about to save your life. Sit down for a minute. Hey, well, Al, we can't move. We're committed to this house, or we're committed. Hey, no, you're committed to marriage and the success you and your family have that has nothing to do with this tangible property that can change. And by the way, what if that fucking burned down? This isn't just about choosing to move. What if it got lost in a flood or a hurricane or burned the fuck down? Or you lost your job and it's foreclosed and you don't have a choice but to go like, hey, are you really assessing your quote unquote commitments the right way? Or are you super narrow minded in an approach within that commitment that you're fucking so hard headed? Yep. When we talk about fitness and guys get stuck on the bench press. Hey man, do you want to be shredded and lose body fat and yada, yada, yada? Cool. Great. Why the fuck are you still in on that bench press? Like that's the only tactic that you know and you're comfortable there because you're actually decent at bench pressing. But boy, do you suck at these other things that are way more productive. And that stair stepper over there is just calling your name. And you're so insecure that you're going to stay in this wheelhouse of not talking to her because you're bench pressing that is that you already know her.
And it takes it to, then I get back to basic things again. Takes him forever to accomplish it. So now I'm like, now that all I wanted you to do is listen, speak, and have intimacy. Now what has happened now that you've done it? Like, you know what? I noticed at work, I listen more on point.
Oh, shit.
I speak on point, and I don't want drama around me anymore. How much money did your business make? Like, what do you mean? Can you get the analytics of, but when we started the relational training to now 16 years later, you finally got through. It's usually 3 months. Them struggling with 3 simple, basic ways to relate to another human being. Listen, speak, and have intimacy. Let's see what happened at your business. Every time there's growth. Doesn't matter. COVID didn't matter. I thought it would be like, man, it's going to be hard to sell this point during COVID. Because
didn't phase
and
you.
They're like, oh my God. What was your turnover? Man, we didn't actually fire anybody nationally. So you just listened more. And the boss was like, yeah, just listen more. But I didn't want drama anymore. If you got drama, go to the XO.
Do you know what listening forces you to do? Not have a knee-jerk reaction 10 seconds into somebody saying something. By the way, definitely got a lot to do in my relationship. Like, by no means am I sitting here going, yep, got that down.
Oh, mine's the same way. I struggle every day with it.
Yeah.
I didn't listen well enough, or I had added drama to Stacy's world.
Do you know why this is so cool? Because when we were out there on the range with some of these folks, like Eli was there and still novice at like weaponry per se. Let's call these shooting engagements we were doing over the weekend. Let's say that's life for the sake of the analogy, right? People get distracted and complicated in life. How simple is it for sight alignment, sight picture, finger straighten off the trigger, put your weapon on safe? But when they're in it, how many times do some people have to remember, hey, devil, put your weapon on safe before we move forward? Oh, God. And then they start beating themselves up. Hey, don't beat yourself up because you're new at this. Just understand these 3 simple things with shoot, move, and communicate. How complex can they get when there's so much going on that you have to understand how brilliant we have to be at the basics in order to be long-term successful.
Yeah, I'd been telling you guys that for 2 days, and then when they said, you guys shoot, I'm like, it's talking about shooting and shooting is different. Even though it's still there genetically, I'm like, it just ain't going to go. So it doesn't work. It
or when people go and they feel it,
it
it's
gets
so much more than
You're
shooting.
like, oh, man, my back hurts. That's not a part of those 3 basic things.
It's not. I remember when Chris Powell, when he was all jazzed up and he was talking about it on video, and then I've got some friends that we have in business that are going to be coming, and a couple have been like, oh, that's cool, man. I'm like, I've been shooting before. And they can't see me. I'm on my phone and I just smirk because I'm like, hey, man, the relationships and the experience you're going to have has nothing to do with shooting. That's just a vehicle for you to go through some shit to realize how non-brilliant you are at the basics when it comes to your relationship and your business, because we're going to use this shooting experience as a vehicle to expose and bridge the gap between how proficient or where you're missing on business and relationships. And it's incredible.
You know what's so nice though is having that person that sees what you don't see, and they're like, hey bro, you put that on safe, and you're like, oh fuck, cool. And then you get that. But having that person who's just, hey, no judgment, no anything, and that's probably what you do for a lot of your clients, is like, hey, man, you're missing this little thing right here because you're in it and you don't see it, but I'm on the outside and I do.
Environment is so key, man, because if Tom corrects someone, it's like, hey, this is just between, hey, Tom is I've hired him to help me grow. Like, it's between him and I, and he's critiquing me, but not in front of my friends, not in front of my wife. It's the same thing as like these peer evaluations or after action reports when we as leaders got to go amongst leaders. Yeah. That type of environment is so important to actually have someone let their guard down and be open to the shit. Because that's the one thing
that's the hardest part.
No one can do. If walls are up on that person, right? It's bulletproof, man. Like, in that environment is so important, because once I can get through to you, hey, now we can get to work. Like, once you pass Hell Week, now we're going to train you. Right? Like, same thing. There's got to be this level of trust. And when your clients have a level of trust with you, it's got to be somewhat environment based as well, right?
You can't come into somebody's business or family and expose them.
Nope. You know where else that's common? This is kind of funny, but remember the Dog Whisperer, that show? They had like an angry pit bull or Rottweiler or Chihuahua, right? Neutral ground.
Yeah.
When he had to have his dog, daddy or whatever, come and help teach these dogs, neutral. Hey, my dog's good to go. I'm not bringing my dog into that dog's house, and we're not going to learn shit. Hey, we're going to go over here, neutral. Not even the same dog park they're used to going, neutral.
Yep.
And then
that's been the hardest part about relationship work with clients is I made several mistakes, like every day that ends in Y. But can you come in and can we do this as a family? There's a way to do it, but I did it wrong the first 15 times. Is because they feel guarded.
Yeah.
Get exposed. I already know all the facts, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, and they also...
You're raped by 17 dogs, and I get all the... I would make it gross because you hear all the gross things, and they think it's cool and it's a secret. I'm like... Okay, everybody has secrets and they think they're so important. Nobody even cares. I don't want anybody to hear my secret. Okay. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Just don't even keep it as a secret. Just put it out there.
Yeah.
And so they get to the point where they don't want you to know anything. So their communication dries up. Yeah. So why aren't you guys talking for 10? Why don't you say what's important for you for 10 minutes? Anger. Fuck, what are you so angry about? You have $14 million.
Yeah.
Why are you angry? They never get to the point when it's not on neutral ground. If it's in their house, I was like, this ain't going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Good money, but boy, just banging my head in the wall.
Yeah.
We go somewhere else. Or Stacy comes in and it changes the dynamic right there.
Stacy's your wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like she comes in and it's a neutral ground, or they come to our place, or we go somewhere else.
With another couple?
With that couple that we're dealing with in their own place. Can you help us set this up? No, I'm not going to go in your place anymore. Go into your sacred spot. I don't want you into my potty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so taking them out of that, putting them on neutral conditions, and then bringing in somebody else that's not me, or somebody else that, doesn't give a shit about all the problems that people could have, and just say what's there for you. That's all we're asking. You're the wife, you're the husband. Yeah. Tell him what's there for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're gosh.
Yeah.
Especially in their
I like you or don't. Can you say I don't like you? No, I shouldn't. But it's there. Say what's there.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially in their own castle.
And then they're like, oh my God, that was so loving.
Yeah.
He hated you 5 minutes ago. Did you remember that? No, but what I heard is, I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And Going
But it's
to a
gotta
man's
be hard.
castle, you're stuffed. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm
Dude,
not going.
coming from real estate, it's hard enough telling people their carpet sucks in their own house. More or less telling them how shitty they are as a husband, right? Like,
true.
that's one thing we can relate to. Like, golly, tap dancing around hard, like hey,
boy, man, if we could
Right.
just get some crown mold.
hey, listen, if we could get this dog smell out of your house, nope, you don't. You know what I mean? Like, there's just ways. To,
Yeah, no, I know
can only
marijuana's
imagine.
still good, but
Yeah.
can you not grow it right
Can you
here?
not do it? Gosh,
Because
yeah.
it's really getting
Yeah.
into the wall, the carpet. You
Oh
know?
man.
Well, you know what I like about these three things specifically is I feel like this is why there's so much like lust and excitement at the beginning of a relationship, because you're taking time to tell them about yourselves.
Those are the three
Those are
things
distractions.
you do.
Yeah. Well, in the beginning of a relationship,
all about her. I don't know anything about her.
you want to hear it.
Yep.
And she's like, oh,
You
want
wanna
to
hear
he's
it.
so cool.
But here's
Yeah.
the
and
here's the
everything is like this.
Yeah.
you're like
It's
this all the
touching.
time.
But here's the
Yeah.
problem. Those first 3 months, you're also the best version of yourself and the best story of yourself as you're doing that. That's not
But
necessarily
also because
quite
you're
who
trying,
you are.
but you're trying to be.
But you're trying.
And
Very-
here,
very true.
Yeah.
And we as couples graduate through this, they say the same thing. I remember the first 3 months of my early we were doing this is also
Yep.
because you were doing those.
yeah,
And you brought something new to the table, and you were new every day, and people knew you, and then they stopped knowing you, and eventually I have to have those in my life.
just
Yeah.
since
If I don't get them with you,
right.
I may not get all three from the next girl, but
Right.
she will listen.
yeah.
I get to talk to her
Yep.
on point,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
she's my intimate one.
Yeah.
And you are just the mother of my kids, and I hate to say it that way. It's like if I don't get it, I'm going to get it.
Even
The woman has to get it. I was like, wow.
Right.
Come to find out, the women need it more than the men.
They do,
Yes,
man.
they
And
do.
they're going to get it on the side, and you'll never know.
Yeah.
You will never, because they're better at it than.
Yeah.
Because men
We
have
think we're
egos and we
cool.
think we're fucking
Yeah,
awesome
yeah,
in our
yeah.
castle.
And we think we're sly. Like
Yeah.
men think, yeah,
No,
they'll
you're
never
not.
know.
You're an idiot.
Yeah, she's not.
She
paying
does your
attention.
laundry, bro. You don't do hers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She knows.
And every time you come home, oh, you're tired
Yeah.
and can't do it. No, you're drained. Okay.
Yeah.
They're not stupid.
Well, and
Yeah,
something
they
that
know everything.
something that made me
But
realize
you can't tell.
No, right. Yeah. Something that made me realize this.
I don't know why it makes me
as,
laugh.
as you're bringing these up, just coming from this past weekend, where we went out and, I did something new and I did something exciting that not only rejuvenated me, but when we came back, it's like we spent multiple nights this week sitting outside by the fire where we normally wouldn't. And we're having like real conversations, talking about real
you
experiences.
keep pointing at me like
There's
you and I
new
are
shit.
married, like we've been doing this.
Yeah,
Him
no.
and his wife.
Him and I went to do this
Him
thing.
and his wife.
Yeah.
No, Eli and I did not graduate
But-
relationship school. We still suck at it.
But having
Because
some,
we're dudes and we're straight and we have wives.
yeah, that's the story.
Yeah, that could have been twisted
yeah,
there.
Yeah, but having something to talk about, and it's new and exciting stuff, and it's like, which made her talk about now her goals, and it was just these moments that we've had just by trying some new shit and pushing yourselves outside of your comfort zone. And I think that, like, speaking your commitment for 10 minutes, do you not want something to talk about? You gotta come up with some shit to tell her for 10 minutes. What are you going to be doing?
I like the
to fill that?
deliberate. Like, hey, when you're talking about your day, like we're talking about the commitments you have for your day, not the complaints,
Right.
not the fucking person who
Yeah,
hasn't emailed you
boy.
back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Take drama out of your day.
Yeah.
Do it.
And when you do, please send me that $100,000 that you just made.
No shit.
Yeah.
You're just going to be
Yeah.
on point.
And these slight adjustments cannot, like, if it sounds slight, if you're listening, whatever it may be, like, don't underestimate that, right? Like when we go to ballistics and we talk about side alignment, side picture, a small adjustment, we're talking this much, right? If you can't see my fingers, I'm talking centimeters. That centimeter adjustment at 1,500 yards is a big
Critical.
fucking deal. So when you talk about these incremental adjustments over duration of time equal to distance, big deal. And you start having conversations and things open up that, man, I never even knew like that. Yep, but it's here. We just had to make these adjustments and be consistent with it. Then these doors open.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell my wife, you just said, hey, listen, Tom thinks I'm awesome, but he's got 3 things for you to work on.
The other funny thing about that for you, y'all complete it, is a phenomenon came from witnessing it.
Okay.
If you don't give them 30 minutes, they demand 3 hours. If you haven't given them time, they
Is that what
demand
kids do?
time.
Is
Yeah,
that-
kids?
is that
Every
what kids do?
relationship you have.
Yeah.
Okay. Every relationship.
Every
yeah.
relationship.
Yeah. So being
So,
proactive, taking a few minutes
If
up front.
somebody is in demand of your time, it's because you didn't give them simple.
I gotcha.
And the moment you give them simple, and they give you back simple, they don't want you around. Like when I talk to my kids in the morning, I'm fine. If I don't, they're worried about me all day, or they're in a panic all day long. Oh, what's going on with Dad? I wonder, does he love me? And at night, they're like hammering me. They're like grabby. And if I didn't give Stacy that in the morning, there's issues throughout the day.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I'm like, well,
I can understand that too, because
my deal is I have a spiritual thing that I do in the morning that only takes like 15 minutes, and then I take the time to at least listen to Stacy, even if we're virtual. I'm like, hey, what are you going to do today?
Yeah.
And she comes back with, it's 3:00 in the morning. I'll tell you later. Doesn't matter. I just initiated it.
Yeah.
And now she's like, man, he's at my house all the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
If I didn't do that, she's like, man,
what's he doing?
Where you been? What are you doing?
Like, it'd be ringing like crazy. What's going on? Where are you?
Yep.
Not that she doesn't trust me. I gave her 10 minutes, and I got the whole day.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And when I
speak, lesson, man.
that like really our intimacy is based on me shutting my mouth. If I shut my mouth,
fuck, that sounds like what I need to do.
it's so
fuck.
like I don't mean to be gross. It's like tequila makes the clothes come off.
Yeah.
Me being silent. I mean,
I'm just gonna write "shut the fuck
ready
up"
to
on my
cry.
paper.
Yeah.
If I can be silent,
it
makes her feel better.
Like
as
she's doing okay.
Like as a woman.
Yeah. Does she feel like if you're talking, or from your perception, like if you're talking or saying like she's doing something wrong,
or your day is important but hers wasn't?
Yeah.
You keep talking
I'm
about
more
yours.
important. She's not being absorbed.
Yeah.
And the problem with the entrepreneurship is it follows you home.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the first thing comes out of my mouth, whether she's naked or not, is, I got this shit. Just totally blew it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got so much to say.
Yeah.
You can't, and I realize that she doesn't care about money.
Yeah.
She cares, but if I bring up money, like her life goes like this. Like, but who am I going to talk to?
You know what I noticed
We're entrepreneurs together. This is the Stacy Tom show.
Yeah.
If you talk about money, she doesn't want to be a part of it anymore.
Because she's not in it for that. You got to understand, like, her why or what she's in.
I was like, but I still need to fucking talk to somebody about money.
Right,
and I don't like to talk to my accountant because it's like talking to a digital
Is
dashboard.
Yeah.
But I want some interaction here, bro.
Yeah.
Maybe we could like figure out how to like get Tom to pay us money to talk to us about his money. That'd be fucking cool.
How that works?
I just want that as a job.
Yeah.
Like, Will, what do you do for work? People pay me money to talk about their money. Like, I just can't. I want to say that, but no, I this is just super personal for me. Like when you're talking about some of these, because I feel like I gotta. If people don't know that about me, if you can't tell already, like I probably should shut up at home if you can't tell. But it's a little true. I'm actually quiet at home, and I let them watch TV and do their thing. But if work or like something pops up, I do talk about it, and it comes from a good place because I am excited about what Eli and I are doing. The problem is I can be so excited about it and then take the entire stage that I didn't give the stage back, or just give it to her in the first place, to just say, hey, your day and your career is also important. And I remember she said one thing last night. She said it before, like she had said something like advice wise to me. Can't remember it, obviously, right? Hence why we're talking about it.
Exactly.
But you know what she said? And she goes, and fucking Sean Tosh told you the same thing 2 weeks later. And it was like you came home and it was this thing.
Yeah.
And what I noticed right there was like, definitely something that I can do is just, hey, slow down a little bit. And I did. Now I defended myself.
That's why I say, you don't have to do it 10 minutes.
But she did agree, and she goes, hey, I understand. And I was like, well, you said the same thing. She's like, well, it's similar. And I go, but she did agree that, like, hey, sometimes you're just a little bit more receptive to advice from someone based off of their experience or relationship with them. And yes, I am more open to some of that. So she did agree with that. She didn't like take the whole cake and just make it non-productive. But what I did understand, like, and what's kind of like shitting light to me right now as you talk about this is, she's not a money person either. If I come home and tell her how many deals she did, it's like, hey, cool. And if everything else in my life I listen to and it excites me, but I don't listen to her, or she doesn't excite me, or she doesn't realize that she does because I'm not showing it. None of all this matters because it shows that you're getting your gratification and your success, or your barometer to success and your fulfillment everywhere else outside of this home. And then you come home to tell me about it, but I have no impact to give you anything that you go get everywhere else.
Yeah.
And it devalues somebody.
Yep,
and that's where I got to learn to
that was the, a conversation like in year 2 of this 7-year journey. And,
wow, I'm 2 years ahead right now. Feels so good.
There you go.
I have to find value in, my wife's shenanigans.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'm going to take away that. Let me take it away. Here's the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Listen.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to frickin' remember.
Mm-hmm.
Speak. Just be on point when you speak.
Yep.
Once you add intimacy, the value is there.
Mm-hmm.
They'll feel valued.
Mm-hmm.
Because whether I care about what you do or not, like, you're an underwater.
Care that they're sharing it.
Like you're an
Yeah.
underwater welder, and I'm
Yeah.
like, God, I don't have to be encouraged and passionate
Yeah.
about what you do. I have to, thank you for saying that. I don't have to agree with it at all.
Mm-hmm.
If my wife wants to be a stripper, let her be a stripper. I don't have to agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't have to agree with my shenanigans. The fact that we have intimacy
Yeah.
makes it all available,
Yeah.
like all
Yeah.
worth something.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what they
But
want.
do
That's
I
what
have
they
to
want.
agree
And,
with?
yeah.
I have to agree with him? No, you don't have
No.
to agree. Listen.
Listen, and I like that because let's let's say your wife's job, whatever it is, you're not excited or you're not intrigued. Well, I'm not intrigued by her job. Okay, are you intrigued that she wants to share her day with you?
Mm-hmm.
Adjustment, just perspective is so fucking important. Hey, dude, do you value her? Do you feel fortunate and are you appreciative that she's sharing her day with you? Not sharing it with some dude in a hotel right now, 2 hours before she's supposed to be home,
There's
getting it fucking doggy.
plenty of dudes that listen.
Different,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh, that would be shitty.
Yeah.
So hey, you wouldn't want her doing that, right? Okay, so maybe it is a great thing, and it is respected. That who gives a fuck if you like the superficial, tangible job. Versus, hey man, I really appreciate that. No matter how boring I think my wife's job is, I really fucking love that she values me enough to share that, which makes her respect me, that I listen, and opens her up to more intimacy, which I clearly fucking love. And all of a sudden, things come full circle.
Yeah.
It's
Super intriguing.
Trying to break it down to that was I wouldn't say I was the genius, but a bunch of us were trying to think how do we break this down that once you do it, it makes a huge difference. And it's measurable.
Mm-hmm.
That's
It's
the
measurable.
other part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can measure it in not only in relationships, but I get to know what your physical thing is. I get to know what you're interested in. I get to know what your wealth thing is. It doesn't take a lot of time. Hey, I'm going to try to do 5 business, real estate hoo-haws today. I'm going to work out for an hour, and I'm going to try to reach out to Autumn and talk to her about her college.
Yeah.
My wife now knows more about me than she cares to know.
Sure.
And then she says something important that she's doing that day, like the doing of life. And we touch, we kiss, we even say, over the phone, hey, thank you for that. I don't acknowledge you enough for taking the time to listen to me. They get it. Their day, they actually work out better.
Yeah.
They're at the gym going,
Yeah.
or they're
Feeling
running
valued,
going,
Because they have a
they
purpose.
can do this another transaction because
Yeah.
it's not a matter of trust. They just feel like they're a part of somebody else's life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People
and
don't
somebody
think
supportive.
that's important, bro. It's a 7x in your life. And I don't like addition anymore. I like multiplication.
You know what's super unique? I know we can't keep you too long because you have to go to Boulder and have a lot of fun up there. Super unique about you that I haven't seen anybody do, especially like from our sector, right? Hey, Jockos of the world and all that stuff is good. I'm not bad talking anyone. Super unique how like you've got this extraordinary military SEAL career. And hey, cool, now I'm a leader, I'm a mentor, this is my business, this is what I do for people. But you've involved like your wife in relationships, and it's like, hey, I'm not just some SEAL that takes everything from the SEAL community, dishes it to civilian world. I'm not saying that that's not productive. Of course it is. But you're incorporating just fatherhood, manhood, relation. Like, you're talking about so many different things that matter, not just cool. I was a SEAL. How can I sell that? It's like, no. I'm 52 years old. I've had these endeavors. I've had these failures. It was inside of the SEAL community, but we're not talking SEAL. We're talking failure. That was my vehicle. Yeah. I'm married. I remarried the same person for these reasons, right? I
didn't remarry the same girl.
I thought you got married, right?
Not to the same woman. I'm married. I'm divorced, and I married Stacy, another woman.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry. Yep. Yeah. But you married Stacy, correct?
Yeah, the second time.
The second time, yeah. But you went home and got married.
I don't know why that hit me so strong.
Yeah, but you went home after deployment.
I felt like I had to defend Stacy or something.
Of course, but you went home after deployment and married her, correct? Or how did that work out?
No, so we were married before that deployment. So I did 2 deployments with one woman, and then I got married right after I left my instructor duty at Bud's.
Okay.
So Stacy came into my life then after about a year of like, I was never going to get married again. Fuck them. I'm out.
Right.
Yeah.
They're a distraction, and I can't afford another divorce.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then Stacy came into the world. But yeah.
What made you feel committed to her to the point of like overcoming? Because, and by the way, men have this too. I know women, once their heart's broken, they don't want to get their heart broken again. And like, I'm not being facetious. I get it, and that's real for women. They talk about that. Men, we tend to not talk about that shit, but it's just as prevalent with us of heartbreak or frustration or the financial side or the stress tax of divorce, what it may be. Like, what made you overcome whatever fears you had there and be open to that level of commitment?
Probably the bottom, going, okay, I don't want this life. I don't want to be a single dad with 2 kids and an ex-wife that I still have to communicate to.
Yeah.
You think divorce solves the problem?
No.
Still there,
bro.
I like how he looked you up and down.
Dude, this problem is now 10 times worse, but you don't have to sleep with her.
Yeah,
that's 10 times worse. It's so complicated now.
Well, now it lacks any chance of intimacy, or any
so,
chance of regular communication.
A burden to have.
I can imagine.
And I got out of the divorce pretty well, but I was sitting there at the bottom again, going, I don't want this life. I don't want my kids to grow up just knowing me not with a woman.
Yeah.
And then then they were young enough where I could date and then not go, that was that. You know?
Right.
And a bunch of women, I'm like, I don't like her. I don't like this style of woman. And I'm not cut in California. That was California. And so I'm like, I'm done. Yeah. I'm not going to look anymore. And whatever. I'm just going to go put all my stuff into killing. And like I was done. And met Stacy in a coffee shop.
Accidentally?
Yeah, with no intent.
Ran into her, yeah.
She was in front of me. She ordered a large coffee with 4 shots of espresso.
Nice.
And she had a camisole top.
Go get her.
And
Holy
so, she's probably going to be embarrassed. She's stacked.
Okay.
And she was like Miss.
That means she's got big biceps, shoulders.
Yeah.
Perfect butt, perfect, hoo-ha. And she was like a Miss Fitness competitor.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And at the top of her game. And no intent to do anything. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to get hair on your back. And she's like, does that ever work? I'm like, dude, I've never heard of the drink. Can I have that drink? And she goes, no. And she goes, what a moron. Yeah. And walks away. So I ordered I like peppermint mocha.
Yeah.
Call me gay. I don't care.
Whatever.
I'm okay with my stuff. And I just like the flavor. And why am I explaining it? I have no idea.
Peppermint mocha.
So anyway,
it's like him and hard cider. Same thing.
Hey. Yeah. No, it's like you and I looking gay as shit every day because we run a company together in your little spoon.
Yeah.
Well, so then we were, and she was in San Diego she worked for a financial wealth firm.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of it. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about business.
Yeah.
You breathe? Okay.
And he wasn't listening for 10 minutes yet.
Right, that's true.
And so I'm like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm Tom.
She goes, back up to her after that.
Nice to meet you, Tom.
Yeah.
And she's not. I'm not going to tell you my name. She was just straightforward. I'm like,
Yeah.
So are you? I mean, do you live here? Because she was pretty white skinned. She
Yeah.
goes, no, I'm here for a week, and
Okay.
I'm here on a conference in Coronado. Blah blah blah. And I kind of remember that, and I had to go because I had to go to work. And I said, can I get your number? So I get her number, and I had to go on a 2-week trip, and left the number at home. And it says you're not supposed to call a girl for 2 weeks because
Yeah.
I
48
did that
hours.
unintentionally.
Yeah.
So
It worked apparently.
And then I'm back home now, hitting bottom again. I'm like, I'm so lonely. I want a woman in my life that is committed. I want her to be healthy. I want her to have a family. I want her to be sensual. I want her to look like this and be able to talk openly about everything. I want her to have hit bottom. I want her to be divorced. I want her to have already been divorced.
Interesting.
And so I didn't know anything about Stacey at that time. So I'm looking through no, I don't want her. Oh, no, I can't deal with her again.
Yeah.
No matter how bad it is, I'm not going to go that way again, And Stacey, I wonder if she'll remember. Call up, hey, this is Tom. Remember we met in Coronado? She goes, where? I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't going to go well. Here, I was behind you in the Starbucks, and I said that to you. And she goes, oh, it takes you 2 weeks to get back, huh? And small conversation. I tried to explain that, and 9 months later, we got married.
Crazy.
And we just hit it off. Like she was divorced twice.
Yeah.
Didn't know that at the time.
Just checked all those
I
boxes.
said, here's the deal.
I know where she's being so upfront with you comes from. Like, hey, I done been through it.
I have 2 kids. I want a woman that wants a family that doesn't need me financially because I don't make any money. And I could die tomorrow. And I want her to be athletic, and I want this, and I want that. And I just put it on the table. And she goes, interesting. It was a shocker.
Yeah, what's it?
And then we met at Fort Bragg because I was doing a course called 18 Delta refresher out there. I said, I want to be at Bragg for 3 weeks. How close are you? And she was all drive down. Like, oh, and I only seen her once. And I'm like, oh, she's not gonna drive down. Whatever. She just brushed me off.
Yeah.
And so she drives down, and we spent the weekend getting to know each other in whatever sense you want to call that. And adults, I can say that.
Yep.
And I was dumbfounded. Later we talk about it openly, even on TV sometimes, and she goes, I would have married him then. I'm like, I would have married you then, but I didn't want to tell her that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, that's exactly it now. But the problem is she hasn't met my kids, and my kids get a say.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I'm like, and that weekend we parted with, I would like you to meet my kids because if they don't like you, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
You would dissolve this if they're 5 seconds. If they don't like you, it can't move forward.
Yeah.
And so she flew out to San Diego, realizing that she had to meet my kids. And then that meeting, my youngest boy, I think, or my boy at that time,
How old was he?
3.5. So that's never going to be a good interaction.
Yep.
Like, who is this foreigner? And my daughter immediately embraced her, and I watched that transaction.
How old is she?
She was probably 7 then.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I was like, wow, because I'd brought girlfriends home, and Autumn was like,
not having
I'm
it.
like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I got to make sure they're in bed before I bring anybody home.
Yeah.
And so I said, I want you to meet Stacey. This is a girl I've been telling you about, and I really like her, but you don't have to like her. And so they hit it off royally. And Garrett is kind of a rigid dude anyway, and he has a difficulty communicating. So Stacey took it as he doesn't like me.
Yeah.
Because he kept asking, hey, when's her leaving?
Yeah.
And Stacey still thinks it because he wanted her to leave.
Yeah.
When she left, and he's like, wow, she's pretty.
Yeah.
Why did she leave?
Yeah.
Well, you kept asking. I didn't want her to leave. I just didn't know when she was leaving.
Yeah.
She still doesn't believe that when I tell her that.
Yeah.
But he was enamored with her.
Yeah. Oh, I
And
bet.
I'm like, well, that's cool.
I bet, man.
She's stacked. He's 3.5. Them shoulders are amazing.
Yeah.
Do you know what awesome stacked arms looks like to a 3.5-year-old man? Hell yeah,
That's
dude.
so funny.
So then I said, all right, here's the deal. I have some time. You want to meet in Cancun, and I'll pay for it. She goes, you can't pay for it. I'll pay my way. Like, I feel bad. She goes, don't worry about money. And I'm like, well, that's kind of another thing. I didn't want somebody to rely on me.
Yep.
And so we got down there, and my proposal was, I'm probably the worst person in the world to get married to. I suck. I'll admit it. I suck. I'm angry. I chair the conference called Anger.
Yeah.
And I'm violent, and this is my life, and I'm a SEAL, and I don't want to leave it. And I want you, if we get married, I want to have kids. And she goes, God, that sucked. God, can't you do that better? Like, I don't know what to say. I just want to be honest. And she goes, I accept.
Wow.
Then we got married.
Girls love a project, don't they?
Wow.
Hey, I'm the worst thing for you. I'm in. Well played. But you know what, man? Before, because I know we got to let you get going here. Something that I'm really appreciative of, and obviously we're getting to know you better since over the weekend, and now getting to know you even more. And selfishly, right, just super appreciative that we even have access to you at this level, or for personal questions. And guys like Tosh, guys like you, SEALs, Marines, however you want to talk it. Sometimes it gets so glorified, people forget that SEALs also, while they're being a SEAL, have to be a man, have to be a dad, have to be a husband. First responders, when you're a cop, you're a firefighter. Like, heroic things or exciting careers get put on a pedestal to where, like, that's your identity. And what people haven't understood, or maybe they just shouldn't understand, or just can't understand, that while you're a SEAL and while you're going through conflict in Afghanistan or whatever it may be, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a man, I'm all of, and I still have to man, these things don't go away. I have to manage these things while I'm still a SEAL. I think it's super, super intriguing, and I'm so appreciative that you're more here as a leader through just being a human, and hey, how am I going to be the best man possible? And yep, SEAL is an aspect of that, and that was my vehicle where I learned a lot of trial and tribulation, overcame it. But hey, I want to talk to you, and you're not saying this verbatim. How I'm taking you is, hey, I want to tell you how to be a man. I want to tell you how to be a father. I want to tell you how to be a husband, or I want to help these things. I don't want to come tell you just my war stories on I'm a SEAL and look at me. That was my vehicle that I had to use to overcome a ton. But now you're here telling people how to be a human, or again, a wife, a husband. Super intriguing, that it's more about that. It's not about.
Yeah, I like the rock bottom.
Yeah,
that's to me the human conversation.
That's where this whole thing started.
Everything.
Yeah.
What I'd now do with kind of I call it an alpha group, is we make somebody in the group hit another bottom, push something until it falls apart, and you got the protection of the group that will help it recover. Which is a whole weird dynamic.
I like that.
Because when they get off the bottom again, man, like, how low can you go physically? How low can you go emotionally or spiritually?
So are you just calling out like something that they haven't been focused on?
We make them do an event.
Like a diesel day.
Yeah. That's why I was intrigued how you guys flesh that out. Or you make them do a financial event where it could go south, but you have some unknown support behind you that let's do the deal. How far down?
Right. You're not going to bet the house or gamble your kids' college money, but there's money.
Here's a potential $2 billion turn. Are we going to play risk, or are we going to play safe? How about let's play risk and see what happens?
How about let's have a risk assessment before we play?
Or let's go for it. Go for it now. Well, let's not. What if we? Or let's wait. Let's do everything right. That's
but
safe.
Just putting yourself into a financial challenge /
Yeah.
opportunity, or putting yourself into a physical challenge / opportunity in order to use one of those as a vehicle to push off.
Yep.
Well, and that's one thing we didn't get into at all today was you do a lot of like ultra shit and crazy outdoor adventures and all sorts of stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I'd been ultra running until I took the year off last year because I was never going to work again. I'm like, I'm done working.
Yeah.
And because I'd made enough money where I'm like, I don't care anymore.
Well, and that's something too that's really cool to me is still physically, man, you're finding ways to just do insane shit.
Yeah, I like right now I'm just I'm not, which is when you say that I kind of feel guilty.
Good job, Eli. We were going to leave here on a high note.
No, but so
fucker.
I'm recovering from a fractured not a vertebrae, 2 ribs in my back.
Oh, no
doing
kidding.
ultra marathons.
Yep.
Where I don't know why it fractured. You fall all the time.
Yeah.
And I was at mile 91 and I couldn't breathe anymore. I thought, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah.
And coming to find out I'd broken 2 ribs.
Yeah.
And
when was your last race that you did?
Last spring.
Oh, last spring.
Not this
it.
spring.
Yeah.
Like a year ago.
Okay. 19.
Yeah, 19.
Yeah. You're still doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
But we do a 24-hour event 2 or 3 times a year where people come in and we're going to walk for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Which I think is insignificant. People come, last time 2 hedge fund managers came from South Africa and 4 guys came from Germany, which the flight over is more expensive than the damn thing. I'm like, why are you coming? Because we heard about it. I'm like, all we're going to do is walk and talk, and the most profound, like these conversations for 24 hours, and we add physical to it.
Yeah.
And you emotionally start breaking down. Your feet get hurt. And
Yeah.
the only thing I'm interested in is that person in the last 2 hours that only cares about taking the next step.
Right.
That's the only thing I want you to do.
And everybody can walk. It's not a swim event. Some people just don't know how to swim.
Yeah.
Some people just can't run.
It's not a CrossFit thing.
Yeah. Nope.
It's not.
It's
I
just
have to
walk.
lift my head. And
Everybody can walk.
And then what I got from all the ultra races is who you are in the least is who you are in the best. So when you're at the bottom, that's really who you are. So I want to be there when you show up.
See who you are.
You have to see who you are. And you're always really more powerful.
cool.
It's a layer right above
That's
that. Layer right above the bottom is the bitter dumbass
Yep.
that you never get to, that you don't want to go below that. When you get down here, I've never seen anybody not show up as a great human.
But it's getting through that.
Getting through that stupid.
No, going further down.
Yeah, exactly.
Right
Getting through
before the
real-
bottom,
Yeah,
it's
getting through
cloudy,
that
and you still
shit.
got
Yeah, yeah.
resources
Yeah.
to be fucking
Right.
lazy and
Yeah,
have
you're a
excuses.
douchewagon. You
Then you hit
complain.
this.
Yep.
Right after complaints is grace.
Yeah.
Toughness, a level of toughness that I've seen.
Yeah.
I had a 13-year-old do this 24-hour, and I would have quit. Like me saying I would quit. I'm like, dude, your shit is smoked. She's bleeding feet.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, she's got 2 more hours of this.
Yeah.
And she hung it out, and I was like, man, that's impressive.
Did it?
And she has become one of our closest friends, and now she's what,
Wow.
30 or 20?
Wow.
And she was like, wow, I've never had anybody support me when I look this bad. And my parents don't support me and all this other stuff.
Man.
I'm like, wow, I would rather continue to be a part of those conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I'd had an easier event, but
Yeah.
Yeah, extraordinary.
it's all
You
for
need
the last
it.
2 hours. I'm like, dude, can't hack anything. I'm like, now I'm not interested in hacking.
Yeah.
Got to get to the last 2 hours. That I don't like the process either,
Yeah.
because I get smoke checked.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You're going through it with them.
and the last 2 hours, everybody's the best version of themselves that I've ever seen.
Well, you're doing some cool stuff, man.
We're just gonna. I mean, and here's the deal. So not to not get to even more business. There's so much depth, and in every piece that we've talked about with you, rates, time. We're just gonna have to harass you to get back to Denver at some point and get you back on again 2, 3, 5, 6, 12 times, and every time have value. Yeah.
Because the more I train, the more I have to take 2 days off. So
There you
Denver
go.
may be the
There you
stopover.
go. Yeah.
Hey man, if you ever got to crash here, you can crash here, and then if you get awkward looks from my wife, it's because I'm going to tell her that you gave her some things to work on, and I might leave the fact that I'm supposed to work. Hey, Tom said.
You're supposed to listen to me for 10
Hey,
minutes.
Tom said this shit right here.
funny.
She's gonna go, honey. I've been listening to you for 10 trillion hours. Buddy. You better shut your mouth. But
Well, how
great stuff.
can people get a hold of you, man?
Well, I'm on Facebook, just like
Got
the
Tom's cell phone number
cursory,
right here. Hold
crazy
on.
one. Yeah, thanks for that. Tom Shea on Facebook, Unbreakable Leadership on Facebook, but that's our parent company,
Yep.
unbreakableleadership.com, and
Unbreakable Leadership Podcast.
Unbreakable Leadership Podcast.
Been listening to that. Some good stuff on there.
And
And then people
and
should
we
go buy
respond.
3 simple things.
Yeah, 3 simple
Amazon?
things leading during chaos on
Okay.
Amazon, on our website,
Audio?
at Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
The audio file is out. It's been out for a month, and it keeps having an error. So they keep sending us back.
Yep.
There's an error on page whatever, and we correct it. And like, there's an error on page 5
Yeah.
So just buy the hard copy.
right now.
Yeah, for
Read it.
sure. For sure. Cool.
The audio voice in the file is tremendous, dude.
Yeah, really?
Very cool.
Like, he's got the best voice I've ever met. That's why.
Okay.
I can't wait to do that.
I like that, man.
And we talk at the end of the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About, because he read the book, and then he's like, I would like to talk to you about the book. And why don't we put that in the audio file?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And I'm like,
Is he
sure.
Australian? Southern?
No,
What's his voice?
He was a Navy guy.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
And he's just got a deep.
Sounds like Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Well, cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you being on, man.
100%. And again, we're gonna have to figure out how to harass you and just.
We are.
There's just so much necessary time that goes into all the tools that you have that you can provide for folks. And again, selfishly, super appreciative that we have access to you and just leadership from your side. This has already been huge, and it's ironic because it's these were conversations we were having last night in my household, and super
Awesome.
big help for
Thanks
me
for having me.
personally. Absolutely.
100%. Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, you
again,
might have saved me from my wife killing me.
maybe,
Might have saved
maybe.
my life.
You saved a Marine today,
She
man.
might be up there
Yeah.
loading my guns and shit.
Yeah.
SEALs just saved another Marine.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but if you need a coloring book,
That's
there you
I'm gonna
go.
hook
We
you
got it.
up.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Well, again, we appreciate you guys listening. This has been the Day One Dollar Zero podcast. If you guys have found value in this episode, definitely share it with a friend. We definitely want to spread the word of Tom and the cool things that he's doing. So give this episode a share, and we appreciate you guys.
Awesome.
All right. We'll see you later. Take care.
Out.
Bye.
See y'all.
I'ma sip it on down and turn it up. Southbound and we trailblazing, yeah, bud. And the posse dirty, filthy like a spit cup. Dropping bombs out the gate, bringing big guns. Raw records, we the stake, we the A1. Speak up and we know where we came from. Welcome to the posse, let them hear me yell on.
Got a blanket on the game, long clutch, they heated, we're treated. All the same, but exemptions are needed. Spit cup is insane and the team is completed. Switch it, lane to lane with the top receipt.